is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
1, 2, 3, Rain, talk to me. We're gonna hit a beat and talk about my Eve. Everybody, you know what I say. I'm gonna do a beat.
Make it stop, Rain.
It's time to stop.
Why did you do this?
There you go.
Rock, paper, scissors, right? We don't want Eve to be as simple as shut the fuck up, Seto!
Floods of like memes, and these small gangers are like, we're the elite of the elite. Do not fuck with us. We will kill you. We are the best players ever. It's like, dude, I did your shit. I did it better than you did. And it's like, yeah.
You know what this conversation is like? When I say not enough super die in Delft, and people tell me, oh, look, there's a super die in Delft. So it's like, when I'm talking about the balance issue...
We were talking about fucking balance, not supers dying in Delft.
Look,
Why does everything with you have to be about supers fucking dying in Delft?
Shut up.
Christ.
It's an analogy, moron. It's an analogy. Okay?
You guys stop arguing. You act like a fucking married couple. Jesus Christ.
No, don't stop arguing.
Well, it is Trash Talk Tuesday.
I was like,
And welcome everyone to Trash Talk Tuesday. I am your host, Fountain Frank. I am joined by a number of very important and respected Eve individuals, including Big Bill the Boss and Dominarch. The rest of these guys are mouth-breathing idiots who aren't in the Imperium, so we're going to let them talk after. Now, because I am hosting the show tonight, we have a number of important topics to go over, but I wanted to start by saying we have two ground rules. Everyone on the show tonight must be older than 12, and Rich Richmond is only allowed to speak if he uses an American accent. And with that, I'll throw it open. Welcome to Trash Talk Tuesday, everybody. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I cannot wait to hear the American accent from Rich.
Top of the morning to you, Brisk.
Good morning. That's Irish, though. That's not American. We'd be like, sup. That's how we would
now
say
howdy
it.
there, boys and girls.
That's better. That's very good.
That wasn't
So,
bad.
gentlemen, we had a lot of stuff happen this week. Unfortunately, Rain can't be with us because a massive fucking tornado tore through her whole state. So we're hoping that Rain's okay.
Well, it wasn't really a tornado. It was straight winds. Straight winds of 75 mile an hour.
Jay Amazingness is telling me he's coming on Discord.
What?
Well, that's excellent. We'll have Jay come on. That would be great. I would love to hear from.
But that's only
my
because
favorite
Redline's no
FC.
longer the host. Yeah.
I'm
makes
Jay
sense.
Amazingness.
We always like that.
Can we just
Wait, he
appreciate for a second the portrait of Fountain Frank? Like, has anyone noticed that?
Oh, I noticed.
Are you seeing
Yeah.
this?
Yes,
He
I've been
winked-
watching
He
it.
winked at me, dude. Ah, there we go.
Wait, look at this.
There you go.
Look at this guy. Look at this fucking dude.
Watch the Mate Show. Oh, fuck.
I don't care about the sign. I
A
want to see the
screenshot
wink.
of you dressed up as that's yeah.
Just wink again, Brisk. Wink.
We did that. We did
Flash
that
Friday,
this
right?
morning because I said when Redline offered to have me come on and host the show, I said that's fine, but I need to be on camera because I don't want to be just like a face because obviously it would just look like that Brisk guy, and that's not me. I'm different. And so he said, well, you should film something. I was like, all right, I'll think about it. And then I was like, you know what? I think I will. So we did it. And I have to say, Redline, you made that look very good. So I appreciate that. You're the best engineer for this show anyone could ask for.
I appreciate that. Thanks for hosting. Oh my god, Jay Amazing. This is the Discord.
It's great.
Is that
Now,
the real,
because
is that the real Jay?
this is Jay Amazingness, welcome to our favorite FC from the Imperium. I am gay for Jay. I hope you are all gay for Jay. Hi, Jay. How are you?
It's really fucking loud. 1 second.
Yes, it is.
Now, fortunately, I can't be saying that I'm gay for Jay, for Dawn Ray has sent me some truly repulsive
Selfies.
stories about you, Jay.
No,
Hello?
that's not true.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
How are you doing? Thank you for joining us on Trash Talk Tuesday, Jay. This is amazing.
I'm
Get it?
kind of offended that the one time I do show up, my
He's not
fucking
on the
Eve guy
screen.
isn't even on the stream.
Don't start with me, Jay. You've had
The
a
one
portrait
time.
on this screen for the last 3 weeks, and you never come. And now you're here. I've given up on you.
Just get rid of that American guy, Rich Richmond.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear from that guy.
Okay. I'll get rid of
Is there like
Twitch.
some lag between Brisk's stream and like his fucking camera?
That's not.
Oh, that's not live. That's the thing. That's the joke.
Oh.
It's just one of those headshots like the other ones are. That's why it's funny. Just keep watching it. It's cute. You'll like.
Now that ain't very cash money of you, and if you excuse me, I might have to go shoot up a school.
Wow!
That's not an American
In
accent.
brave space, I'm
That's
gonna
not
have
how.
to interrupt one of their dojos.
That's not how accents work, dude.
Oh,
you,
God.
you don't just say something they would say in an English accent, and that's an American accent. That's not how. That's not how these things work.
All right.
Yeah.
Now hold on there, partner.
Welcome to Trash Talk
I think
Tuesday.
I'm a true. I think I'm a true American brother and professional. I love me football, guns, and freedom fries.
And your sister.
Was that soccer?
He's not from West Virginia.
It might be.
All right, Bill,
what?
I would
What
like
are
to
we
ask you a very
talking about?
important question because since you're here and we have things to talk about in Eve, I figure we should talk about stuff that's not related to Eve. How do you feel about the Big Ten calling off their season?
Did you hear the Pac-12 called it off too?
Did they really?
Yeah.
How long before the SEC calls it off and we
Wait.
have to deal with PGL being crying all the time? I mean, more than he usually is.
Or did we reverse that? Is it the Big 12 and Pac-10?
Are you guys talking about American
The
football?
fuck are they on about?
I think it's
Sports.
American
I have no
football.
idea.
Talking about
Yeah,
college football.
college American football.
I thought this was.
Since
an
there's
Eve
nothing
talk
happening
show.
in Eve, I figured we'd talk about stuff that's happening in real life.
Wait, you promised me that you'd talk about things happening in Eve. Have I been baited?
There's
On
no
Well, I
war.
mean, there's nothing going on, is there? I mean, come on, it's not like anything happened this
Space
week.
storms.
Stupid space storms. I
Oh,
mean,
wait,
there's a
no,
couple
Vert.
We got
things that
space
happened.
storms.
Brisk, I think Vertiso, y'all were doing something though, weren't you? Over in Geminet?
That's right.
That's the adversity. If anyone's ever worked with adversity, try telling them what to do.
That'd
See how that
be
works out.
Skygunner. Skygunner's in here. He can talk about it.
Good day, fellas.
Not Sky Gunner.
Yep, Skygunner.
Spy Gunner.
So as I can understand, as far as I can understand, the most important thing that happened this week was Snuffed and Siege Green had a big fight. So why don't you guys tell us about that?
It was a weird situation, a very weird situation, because it's like an annual deployment, right, to Lanthorn for us. Where it was going on a long time before I even joined. So like it's a long-standing tradition to deploy to Lanthorn and fight Siege Green with no desire to evict, just purely to like sit there and say, "Come and fight us," and the fights would happen. But this time it seemed a little bit more, I don't know, intense, for want of a better word.
They've been recruiting pretty heavily over the last like year though.
Oh,
So
they've got a
like since that
sizable
Korean
block.
like push from CCP, the numbers have been huge.
Well, the weird thing is, as soon as we deployed there, they ripped out all the T2 rigs from the Athanos and Tataras, as if we they know we're not there to evict, yet they ripped out all the T2 rigs, which was quite weird. But then do you know what, there's so many people involved in this, I don't think I can give a full accounting without missing someone, so if I miss someone, I'm sorry. But they called in half of the former CVA, they called in local low-seckers, they called in Korean PanFam Corps, VVV was there, and it just became this, it just escalated to like, I'm going to call this guy, I'm going to call this guy, I'm going to call this guy, to the point where I don't even know how many people were on local for the armor time. It was disgusting. It was a good fight.
A modern Eve fight then.
It was a very modern Eve fight, but I mean, I've said this quite a lot recently. I'm going to be so sad when faction Fortizars are gone from the game, because they'll make people do shit they would not usually do. Like, it's a Fortizar at the end of the day. It's not a fancy Fortizar. Like, it's a Fortizar with a roll bonus that no one cares about. I mean, that's what a faction Fortizar is. But for the low price of 20, 30 bill, you can get people to feed you half a trillion ISK or more in an attempt to destroy it.
Absolutely.
I think so.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think it was like a 4-hour fight. I sat down quite drunk at the start of it, and I was sober by the end. So that gives you some idea of how long it went on for. But yeah, the Tidal was pretty horrible. But fighting on the undock of your own Fortizar, where you have, I had 100 dreads ready to go. So I had one character handing out dreads, one character gunning the Fortizar, which was, by the way, gunning a Fortizar on low sec in a tie-dye fight is the most unenjoyable and painful experience I've had in this game. The amount of temporary combat notifications you get, and the you know what I'm talking about on low sec, like the little blue timer you get every time someone shoots you. If you've got 800 people shooting you, that breaks your computer. Like, absolutely. Well, my computer anyway. And it was horrible. And to the point that you can't even functionally use the Fortizar. So, but the fight was a lot of fun. It was like a war of attrition on the undock of a Fortizar, which is a pretty rare thing to see, I guess. I don't think I've ever seen something similar since I've played the game. And we had people on our side that we fought with in the last couple of months, and we had people that we've worked with on the other side over the last couple of months. So it really was a clusterfuck, but it was a fun clusterfuck. Very fun.
So remind me, so Snuffed won the battle report ISK-wise, but they lost the fort timer?
On the armor timer, we lost the timer with, I think, 30 seconds left, because there was just so many subcap fleets pinging around the grid, right? There's nothing you can do about that, realistically. If you've got 500 to 600 people in subcaps trying to ping around ref your Fortizar, you ain't stopping it. No, I mean, unless I'm missing a trick, I just don't think there's a way of stopping it.
Well, bubbles.
Well,
use bubbles.
Yeah. I mean, that
works,
work
right?
so well.
And bombs. You should use bombs too while you're at it.
Sure, yeah.
How did your FC career end up, Redline?
I was talking on Tuesday.
Bubbles and low sec, big brain.
There was a reason he's banned from FC Immunities.
Wait a second, I'm not banned from FC Immunities.
If you're banned from FC Immunities, whoever did it did you a favor. Let's be real. Like, it's not a punishment. It's a gift.
So what happened to the follow? Did the thing die? Did
It
kill
died. It did die.
When did it die?
2 days ago.
Sunday?
Yeah,
Was there a fight around
2
that?
days ago.
Sunday.
There
There was a fight, but again, there wasn't the same number of people. But there was 2 Macarial fleets pinging around, keeping it paused, and then a Tau fleet.
That was the
pinging
saddest
around.
thing to see.
It wasn't that fun.
Yeah, like,
yeah. I mean,
the whole fight,
okay,
I was just gonna say I wrote like an entire AAR on it because I just burned over there and was watching it. None of the fleets that were attacking it actually wanted to fight. They just wanted to kill the Fortizar.
Well, while I think that was, I mean, it's kind of boring, right? But at the same time, if you lose $500 billion ISK trying to ref anything, you can't.
You gotta
not
kill it.
finish it.
Yeah, you can't kill it.
Yeah, like, you can't half-ass the finish. Like, you're gonna do the most, even if it's like, well, I mean, like, I've always thought if you've got a goal in the game.
Well, that actually leads me to an important question. Do you guys think it is possible to save any structure if people are committed to blowing it up?
Yes, it is possible.
You have to.
How do you do it?
So if you look at the battle report, we were set up with like mains and carriers, right? We had a bunch of carriers sat there, and if I could do it again, I would probably think that trying to split it would have been difficult, but split the carriers into 2 groups. But if you've got multiple subcap fleets dedicated to reffing a citadel, in low sec, I don't think there's much you can do. The Fortizar's useless, right? Like, for all intents and purposes. We managed to like make them. I think even on the whole timer, I think it was like 60 something bill that they lost trying to kill it. So you can make someone bleed for wanting to do it, but if you're willing to just keep reshipping, like on the armor timer, one guy in Siege Green, he died 4 times in a dread. He reshipped multiple times into dreads, then he reshipped into a fax, and then he died, and then he reshipped into a Macarial. And there were a lot of people on the other side that had 4 or 5 reships. If you're willing to do that, feed's probably the wrong word, but lose 20 bill per person to try and finish the timer, you can't beat that. Like, you just can't. And if someone wants to do that, I'd say, like, from a defender's point of view, and we don't get to be the defender very often, I think that's a good thing. I mean, you're going to get to kill a lot of stuff. And it was kind of like a survival mode shooter game, right? Where you just stood there with your team, and then things just keep on going, and it gets progressively harder. It was challenging, fun. The tie-dye was horrible, but would drop another faction for it again.
So you guys go to Lanthorn like every summer just for the lulz, right? Is this the first time anybody's ever fought back?
No, there's always been, like, every year has been pretty bloody fights. I just think this is the first time it's got attention, I guess, because Siege Green, right? Like, they have their Keepstar in Secede, and Lanthorn is, one jump, one gate, and direct range from Secede. If they wanted to use Titans for every fight, might not be wise. It might be wise, who knows? But like, I think there's a kind of a mutual, it's for the fun of it, right? They don't want if someone brings content to your doorstep that's actually something you can fight and not extermination level deployment of the rest of the game. It's not something you want to discourage, right? You want to enjoy it. So it's always been. Just to give you an example, the other day around Blackrise, Siege Green were roaming and they tackled a Rorqual, and they pinged us and said, "Can you come and help us kill this Rorqual?" We went and killed the Rorqual, and then a day later we're fighting in Mantor over a Fortizar. There's no real bad blood. There's no there's no hatred or anything. It's just we all enjoy shooting stuff in a video game, and we don't mind losing stuff in a fight, so we fight each other.
It's for content.
Yeah, something fun. It doesn't have to be. I think that's the big difference between, nullsec and lowsec. Most people on lowsec don't need a motivation to fight. The fight is the whole reason. So, I'm sure I know there's people. I'm not saying that everyone in nullsec thinks that way. People enjoy fighting, but the majority mindset in lowsec is, if someone's going to come to our doorstep, we want to fight them. We don't want them to go away prematurely. So let's give them some fights. Contrary to popular belief, if people deployed to Rakapass with a decent size or something we could fight, we would, we'd want to keep them there, and we'd want to make it fun for everyone. We want to win, don't get me wrong, but it's in your own interest, right, to keep content local. You don't want to piss people off or scare them away or ruin it for yourself.
I just think it's exciting to see those kinds of numbers in a low-sec fight, because you don't see that very often.
That was surprising.
And I was also, I was honestly, if anything, my favorite part of that whole thing was to see Phantomite in a capital. That was pretty awesome. That made me laugh.
Oh, dude, I love Phantomite, because when he was in Snuff, we would disagree on pretty much. We have the exact opposite mindsets of how the game should be played or is best played. But we could always have a reasonable discussion about it instead of, arguing. We would argue, but it would be civil. And he would take a fleet out. And I remember one specific time there was a bunch of freighters getting through lowsec, and he didn't want to drop caps on them, and then which resulted in them getting away. And we would have killed them all if we'd dropped caps on them. And I thought that was just a perfect, summary of how we have different mindsets, but we still managed to respectfully disagree on those things. He's a good dude. I think he's a good CSM.
Warp drive active.
He and I have been working on a number of things together, including trying to fix lowsec, because everybody knows it's fucking broken. So I'm looking forward to working with him in the future.
I had a very long discussion with a CSM about how to fix lowsec the other day. And I think the weird thing is everyone seems to be in general agreement with how to do it, except for CCP.
Well, that's the thing.
Alone, dude.
It doesn't matter how much the players agree on something. It's if CCP don't do it, then they're not going to do it.
We got to get them to convince that this is something that needs to happen. So
I think this is probably the best opportunity I'll get to ask this, but does anyone think that passive moons in lowsec would be a bad thing, or is a bad thing?
No, it'd be amazing. Bring those back, please.
Just the highlights of what I was discussing the other day, the idea of having a module for an Athanor that can convert it in lowsec into a passive income at maybe 50-60% of the value, but also makes it so it only has one reinforcement timer to prevent people, controlling moons way away from where they live.
When we did the Trash Talk Tuesday,
I think you guys paid attention to it.
The teaser.
We were doing the Trash Talk Tuesday fucking CSM debates things. That was one of my questions, was about passive moon specifically, and specifically in lowsec. And there were some people that had some points against it, I suppose, but generally the consensus was that.
Did those people get elected though?
No, I don't think so.
There you go. All right.
That hurts.
Those of us who thought it was a good idea got elected, so that's what I'm saying. Well, I can't say those of us because I'm not on the CSM. Brisk is on the CSM.
I thought it'd be cool if R32s were like regionally locked to low sec and R64s were regionally locked to null sec.
Then how would
and
people
make
in low sec
R32s
get
better?
R64s?
They wouldn't need them. Just make 32s better. But I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they do to provide passive income as long as they commit to doing it. If they do that, then they can figure out on their own what they want it to
That's
look
true.
like.
There's,
And what to,
it doesn't
we don't
have to
give them
be
the idea.
exactly. It doesn't have to be the perfect solution, right? Like anything that is passive in low sec that's a conflict driver. I think one thing that people look at is that we need conflict drivers, but I think it depends on what region you're looking at, whether you need conflict drivers or kind of, not that they're necessarily different, but reasons to go to conflict, right? So like, there's plenty of conflict drivers in nullsec, like moons, for example, but you're not going to try and hold a moon in hostile space to follow up by Rorqual mining it. That's just not going to happen. They're kind of cool ideas that have no real longevity in them. Can't really
I mean, that is the thing that happens though. Is you steal a moon, and like we did that up in what was it, Venal? No, not Venal, Tenal, whatever the non-NPC Enal space is. That's totally what we did.
Tenal is not NPC. I used to live there. The only way you can do that though is with renters and stuff, with folks that don't have a quick response that can't really fight back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the response rate is just going to dunk your shit. There's no point.
Because most of the time, if you're talking about a sizable group, the moons that you take are going to be under their umbrella. So are you gonna go and Rorqual mine under a hostile Super Kappa umbrella?
Sure, why not?
I mean, I killed a lot of Rorquals when they had just gotten buffed in low sec, so it's
Well, that's different.
If you're under your own Super Cap umbrella, why not? What's the worst that could happen? You
if
start a
you're under
Super
a
Cap
hostile-
fight?
Well, if you're
Yeah, but
under-
I'm talking like the Venn diagram where the hostile and the friendly Super Cap umbrella meet. If you're in that zone, why not?
For that situation,
is there any of that left anywhere? Redline?
Yeah, look at
that's not the conflict driver, because no group in the game is going to move their Super Kappa umbrella to contest moons, right? So at that point, the conflict driver was already something else, probably narrative driven, or we need to kill these guys because they're bad. If we've done the same thing before, where we've gone to fight someone, and then you realize they're not mining their moons anymore, so we started mining them in front of them while tanking Athanor. That was a lot of fun, but it wasn't the reason we went there. So in those kind of situations, the Athanors and the moons themselves aren't conflict drivers, they're just little quirks of mechanics that come up because you're doing something else. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that very well.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I don't know if you need like conflict drivers in low sec though, you know what I mean? But fostering like a healthy groups in low sec will generally, to some extent, disrupt and make null block a little bit more dynamic.
Well, I think the part of the issue is, why would anybody want to live there? Why would you live in low sec?
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Like,
so
why would
you have to provide reasons to do that beyond.
Right
this
now
is where
there
we
are
feel like
reasons. Right now there's moons, and that's I guess Pocos. I don't think that really qualifies as a real reason, but moons are a pretty good reason. Like, I have more moons than I can mine, but because I'm not really inclined to mine them. But they're not really a conflict driver. There's not many, because low sec's not that vibrant right now, so there's not that many groups. Like, if you're gonna die mining in a Rorqual on your moon, right? Say someone moved into Blackrise and started Rorqual. It happened the other day. Some guy was mining a moon with a Rorqual and we killed him because he's right next to Rakapass. And if you went to someone else's low sec space and started Rorqual mining, you're probably going to die as well. So there needs to be something a little bit more than moons in their current form. If they're a passive, then yes, that would be a massive conflict driver. But there needs to be something more, I think, personally.
Not just that too, then you're giving groups opportunities to actually like establish some form of reliable income that they can then use their kind of newfound stability to fight with other groups over. But I mean, the big thing for low sec alliances is just providing SRP reliably. If a low sec alliance can do that reliably, then I mean, I'm not saying that they necessarily can't, but it's like one of the reasons that Shadow Cartel kind of ate shit and died when I was there. It was like our SRP fund just basically was just not possible with the moon changes to
Well, yeah, the moon changes took away alliance income and handed it to the player. I mean, to the point that you shouldn't need SRP, but SRP is such a state of the game kind of bread and butter for so many people that, like, I don't even bother. Most of the time, I just don't bother applying because A, I'm lazy, and B, I mean, if you've got like moons that you can mine every day, do you really need SRP?
Yeah,
but,
but that's part of the thing. Because I'll be honest, I hate mining. I don't want to mine. I would rather, take a nail gun and shoot it into my leg for an hour than mine. It's not fun. So I have to find other ways to make ISK, and the SRP I think helps people who want a PvP primarily and don't want to worry about generating income. You don't have to worry about every time they lose a ship trying to replace it. But if you don't have rental income, or you don't have an area where that you can get reliable tax income, whether it's from reprocessing or from bounties, then where do you get your money from? Well, that's tough. So that's one of the things I think is frustrating. Well, I don't like mining. Sucks. Mining sucks.
Mining sucks, but the hypernet though, the hypernet is the real deal.
Just take all your cash. Take all your cash and throw it on the hypernet, dude.
Who knows?
Bro, don't talk about the hypernet. I've lost so much money on the fucking hypernet. It's not even funny.
That's the point of it.
Wait,
it's
hypernet
so
is pretty much.
I think we all want to play poker with it.
Hypernet is pretty much gambling.
Well, I mean, it's
anything like that. It's a raffle. Yes, of course.
It is gambling. Yes.
I've got a little spreadsheet here of it's the only thing in the game I've ever made a spreadsheet for, and it's my hypernet winnings.
You can take the boy out of Goonswarm, but you can't take Goonswarm out of the boy.
This is what I've won on the hypernet: 13 regular titans, 10 supers, 4 faction supers, 21 jump freighters, 18 Fortizars, 2 faction Fortizars, 20 Azabels, and 11 Tataras.
How much is that?
I love the hypernet.
How much did that cost?
Well, considering that a lot of the titans, this is why my alliance hates me. A lot of the titans, I bought 1 ticket. I actually won the first titan on the hypernet with 3 tickets. I won 2 vendettas with 1 ticket on each of them, so it's actually been pretty profitable. But it's cost me a lot of friendships.
I hate you right now.
I bet.
Dude, every single time I see a vendetta on the hypernet, I jump at it. Because that is the one ship in this game that I want more than any other ship in the game. And I just can't win.
Fun fact about the vendetta. Just after Pitts lost his vendetta, I bought 2 tickets on a vendetta and said, if this one wins, you can have it. And if this one wins, I'm going to keep it and laugh at you. Can you guess which one won the vendetta?
The one where you laughed at him?
Yeah. He didn't speak to me for a while. I still love him, but he didn't speak to me for a while. But yeah, sorry, I got a bit of sidetracked there. What do you guys think about passive income for nullsec though? Do you think that's something that's needed, or do you think that's kind of something that's kind of gone away now?
Sorry for interrupting you. I believe it is something needed, also is something for good content, because it's going to keep the war going.
I
don't know if I can't say
the war going.
The war is going to keep going. It's as long as people can pretend that the war is going and that it's not a sham like it is, they're going to keep saying that there's a war happening.
Right.
I guess the Anfam might have some passive income from looting Keepstars.
I mean, that's true. I mean, they should be getting a lot of insurance money from their lost Keepstars. They've already lost 2 this week.
Vert, you can't loot yourself, bro.
Sorry, did you mistakenly say 2 when you meant to say 3?
No. I said the culture lost 1 and Horde lost 2.
Oh yeah, someone in chat made a very good point. TTT is a pretty good passive income. Completely went over my head then. That's without that.
I'll be honest. In terms of like moon passive income, I don't think nullsec needs moon passive income. I think, frankly, if there's passive income in lowsec, then I think some of the nullsec alliances will, of course, take advantage of that, which is pretty much every time it happens. But then Snuffed gets a lot of content, and Siege Green, the rest of the guys that tend to live in lowsec are going to have lots of people to fight because everybody's going to want to come there to mess their stuff up.
I think we'd welcome. I think we'd. If I were to think about our priorities, if they made it so there was lowsec passive income, the real benefit of that wouldn't be the income. Like, we live hand to mouth every month, right? We don't really care about money collectively. But if it's going to bring people to our space to go and try and fight us for Athanors, that's the dream right there.
So who would get the passive income? Like, would it go to the alliance that holds the corporation that holds the structure, or would it go to the corporation? Like,
depends on the alliance.
Because there was a time when I was writing something that was basically like how some groups operate on like a like a bottom up economic line versus a trickle down economic line. And like, for instance, goons put all their money besides like taxes and stuff into the hands of the line members. And then there's other groups that will, put it all into the hands of the alliance, and then the alliance divvies it out or gives discounts on like, Titan holes or whatever.
Like discounts on cormorants for 35 mil.
Yeah, sure.
So like when I was a noob, right? When I was a noob, the alliance had X amount of moons, and that was for SRP and just general alliance funding stuff, right? And those moons were collective. It was just for the alliance, and then outside of that, people were allowed to apply to take moons that were passive, and essentially the alliance defended them just like they were their own moons as well. And those people typically ended up, helping out their corporations or whatever with the money. So I mean, it's really probably up to the alliance.
Do you think it'd be better if like the players actually got the money for the moons, or like
Well, if you're at the point where you're choosing to go for passive, right? That means you've already opted away from the active mining method, which is usually direct to members. So you've probably already made the choice that moon's going to be for the alliance income.
Well, for alliance or corporation, I guess is the question, because it wouldn't be for the player, obviously.
Well, it depends on the alliance, right? Because I mean, I would think different alliances would run in different ways, right? So, the obvious way to me would be like you take probably the best ones in your region for the alliance SRP wallet. You take the second best ones and maybe spread them out between corps for people to either passively mine or actively mine, and then the rest of them just free for all. But I think it would be a very per base on a alliance to alliance basis, and I think you could predict a pattern.
If owning corp shares was actually worth a fuck in this game, maybe that would be a tool or a way to spread the wealth, quote unquote.
Oh, I hate that system. I unironically lost my corp 1 week in to a court member trolling me for not understanding how it worked, and he cooped me without me realizing what the mechanics were. And then he was like, "You're an idiot. Here's your corp back." And I was like, "Okay, now I understand."
I did that to Karma Fleet when they first joined Goonswarm. I was like helping them set up and get roles and everything. Like they gave me full director. And I was like, hey, you should take these shares out of the wallet because like currently anyone that like you give roles to can just steal your corporation.
I think it's a pretty outdated system at this point, personally. I don't know.
I think everything with the corporation system is outdated. Like the way you deal with like roles and hangers and things.
I'm hoping at some point that they have ACL corp hangers. That would be one thing I'd love to see from the corp interface that got updated. Get those neutrals in the corp hangers. That would be nice.
The ACL shit's so confusing to me sometimes.
Dude, I hate it. It's one I've intentionally never learned how to do it. So whenever someone asks me to do it, I can say sorry. I can't help you. I don't know how to do it because it's so stupid. It's so convoluted and like over the top complicated. Or maybe I'm stupid. I don't know, but I just can't get it to work.
I literally have locked myself out of one of my industry fucking citadels right this second. I'm trying to figure the fucking thing out.
Oh shit, dude.
Good job, Bill.
If I can't access my BPOs, Bill, you're dead.
F in the chat.
You're fucking dead, man. I have these mini fucking heart attacks every couple of weeks. So someone will be like, "Oh, Bill, you forgot to fuel one of your raiders and it died." And I'm like, "Oh shit, is that one of my BPOs in?"
So what you're saying is we should target all the
Start looking for his,
I'm just saying, if you kill a big Bill Citadel and some BPOs drop, let me know. They're probably mine.
Alright, we'll make sure that you get those back.
I'll be on the watch for those, Rich.
He's lying. Don't let him to big red boat you guys. Come on.
Someone killed one of Gara's citadels.
No, Penif was.
Yeah.
Me and Penif were talking about it. He had 8 levy BPOs.
Whose
I mean,
client
was
can
it
you
like-
hear on Twitch?
I didn't realize it was Oh, 8 levies. That's so weird. Who has 8 levy BPOs?
But his
I guess
plan was to have
Oh,
all like 60 of his characters into levies, and there weren't enough levy BPCs on the market, and he didn't want to wait, so he just bought 8 BPOs and started copying them.
Wait, is
That one
that?
was a
Can I just be real random real quick and just point out that, like, could you imagine if you were driving through the city and saw this big hologram of Fountain Frank's avatar right here, like in Blade Runner or some shit?
Is Fountain Frank's avatar the one that's causing this the people to get
What?
spammed with stuff?
Don't you touch
I hope
Fountain
so.
Frank's
Was
avatar.
it? Was it?
Don't you
Did it have sound on it?
I have my own hot sauce now.
Fountain Frank's hot sauce. Oh,
This is not a lie. I will show you a picture.
I'm kind of scared.
I'm kind of interested.
I'm kind of hungry.
You're
Can't
not
wait till we
wrong.
see Delve Daniel make an appearance. Quirius Quinton. Quirius Quinton. Quirius.
Can't really
Period,
do
Phil.
period rate.
Period.
Quirius Quentin, Delve Dan, Fountain Frank, period basis Pete.
Declan
There you go.
Dan. 6 months from now.
Basis Brian.
Homeless Harry.
That's rude, man.
Iridia Andy.
That was
Get a
funny.
victor from Iridia.
Utopia
Iridia
Uncle.
Andy, there you go.
All right, let me know if you guys can still hear the warping thing, because I'm trying to turn it all off.
How is it that real talk, right? How is it you've been running the stream for like what, 3 months, and you're still so bad at streaming?
What do you mean?
Like I was watching the stream like maybe 2 weeks ago, and then halfway through, like there was just like some other game playing in the background that everyone was listening to.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yes.
Look, listen. I'll
These
tell you.
people having a good discussion, and it's just like I don't know, you're playing like
It wasn't annoying at all.
some sort of card game or something. Like
It
there was no
wasn't a card game.
cutscenes.
It was satisfactory. There
This
was no.
rank amateurism is why you got kicked from Goon's Red Line. This
Stop!
Is why all-
Don't. Don't.
You had no potential as a streamer. We kicked you because of that.
Yo, Found Frank, do you put that shit on everything or what?
Of course. It is a chipotle pineapple hot sauce that Skeptic Nerd got me.
That looks
Nice.
knockoff as fuck.
I think that's
I'm
the
looking forward
idea.
to it. Tastes like victory.
Really? Is that the only taste of victory you've gotten in the last?
Dude,
that's what's going to come up.
I taste victory every time I open my mouth.
And put
because
that hot
it triggers
sauce in
the
it,
shit
right?
out of Redline when I talk about how the culture lost a Keepstar and Horde lost 2 Keepstars and it was never in Fountain and all of these other truths that he can't handle, and it makes him a sad panda. And that's why I had to take over the show tonight, because he was so disconsolate at the idea of the fact that nothing is happening in this sham war that he needed me to take over the show. So there you go.
I literally I can't do it tonight because I'm too hung up on the meta show from this weekend, where I was mentioned twice.
I heard.
Wait, you watched the meta show?
The Batani has a crush on you, I think.
We have to mention
Oh.
Redline every meta show.
I have
I
to
didn't
watch
think
the
anyone.
meta show.
I didn't think anyone watched it anymore. I thought
Suck
everyone
it.
watched
Just let us know here.
Doesn't everyone just watch Ron stream for information?
Everyone
doesn't?
watches the meta show, then claims they don't watch the meta show.
I do actually watch it.
I
It's like
watch the
watching-
meta show.
It's like, what's it called? Car Crash TV. It's amazing.
The problem
It's
with
exactly like
Ron's
Car
show,
Crush TV.
I mean, the problem with Ron's show is like, I love Ron, but he'll talk for like 20 minutes, and then he'll go off and I don't know, he eat like 120 set of Crayolas, and he's gone for like 3 hours, and then he comes back and then he talks for another 20 minutes, and he's gone for another 3 hours. So it's sometimes I like it when he's there, but when he's not there, it's like, okay, this is boring.
Yeah, but Ron's not running a show, is he? He's running an intel thing, or he's just keeping people informed on what's actually happening, in the war, where things are happening every day.
Ron is
minutes
a
at a time.
streamer, and he's streaming 14 hours a day. So
The difference
That's why
is
it's important to come here for your
It's
news.
hard. Now I want to go
Just stick up for
listen.
the dude. If he's like, oh, he doesn't have to stream 14 hours a day.
Now I want to go and listen to him. I know he did an interview with Iron Bank. I want to hear that because I heard that was interesting.
I heard that was
I gotta go.
spicy.
It's a wild ride.
I need to go back and listen to that.
His is an Intel stream with occasional commentary, and the Meta Show is a commentary stream with no Intel or no intelligence. That's the
True.
big difference.
That is true.
We have plenty of intelligence on our show.
Very low intelligence.
I like Ron because he
Not only-
sticks pretty close to the center, except it's like Villy writes his fucking show titles or something. Those show titles are.
Those show titles are legendary. You know, he's
what
come up with 36 of them so far. You couldn't come up with 3.
I don't know. Bill's pretty creative with nonsense. He could come up with some pretty funky names, I'm pretty sure.
I think he could handle it.
When's Big Bill gonna start his own stream of the PR
Yeah,
attack
Bill,
on
why
Doug?
aren't you streaming, man? You
I
should
would
be
watch
doing
a
that.
big- I would
He's there
watch-
for 5 minutes, like of his bubble, within 8 hours of him being AFK.
I'd watch a Big Bill stream. Not sure what I'd see, but I'd watch it.
I'm sorry, are we spamming meerkats in the chat? Is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, that's a Ron thing.
I know it's a Ron thing. I love that thing. But also, we have a
Meerkats
meerkat
are
in the
on-
channels. Like, we can't just berate the meerkats.
Yeah, we can. Meerkats are non-people.
Cat is muted.
Okay, but I do not allow the blue donut emote in the Twitch chat. So please do not. I repeat, do not put the blue donut emote in the Twitch chat. It is the blue croissant. Guys, you got to stop. You got to stop.
No, this is my show tonight. Blue donuts allowed.
You got to stop doing the blue donut, guys. It's the blue
It's okay.
croissant. It's not
perfectly fine.
okay. It's not okay, Frank.
Are we gonna,
perfectly fine.
Tonight, are we going to discuss Big Bill the boats?
Big Bill the
Big-
boat.
Sorry.
Big
Bill
Bill
the boat.
Sorry. Are we going to discuss the Big Red Boat's official, not official leak of the mass unanchoring of Delve Keepstars?
I think we oughta.
So, I'm pretty
No,
sure
I think
if Boat said it, I'm pretty sure it's true.
I'm actually 100% positive that everything the boat says is 1,000% true.
It's funny because when I talked to Fountain Frank earlier about this, he said the exact same thing, the exact same way as Jay Amazing just said it just now. I don't know.
Because I'll tell you guys this. I have been watching the Big Red Boat on the Meta Show and other things for the last 3 years, and I've watched almost every episode that he did before I took the Meta Show over. And I will tell you right now, I have never seen anybody who is more trustworthy and accurate with everything that he has ever said than the Big Red Boat. So I'm telling you guys right now, if he said it, you can take it to the bank that it's true.
What's not whether it's
So,
actual,
so with
it's
that
whether
being
he
said,
believes.
are you guys planning to unanchor all your Delve Keepstars?
All but 5.
If
is what we're
Boat said
told.
it, did. Yeah, all but 5.
If Boat
That's what
said
Boat
it, I mean, we all know who the power is behind the throne.
I mean, it would be the smart thing to do, but whether they'll do it or not, I mean, who knows?
So I want to
See-
put it to the Twitch chat
The thing
because
about
I
this is
want the
really
Twitch
funny.
chat to weigh in on it. So Twitch chat, is this bait? Is this real? Are we being spun around like a record right now, or are we not?
Listen, I'm telling you guys right now, this is as absolutely true as the culture losing their Keepstar on Saturday. We all saw that happen. We were there. I posted the kill mail. It was on the Meta Show. I showed you.
Okay, see,
This is
so
true.
now you're leading
Still
me
bait,
to
though.
believe that we're not. Okay, so here's my dilemma, right? On the one hand, it's Boat, and I know Boat sees things and says things, and on the other hand, you guys are really talking about how I'm doing the air quotes. So you can't see it because there's no camera, but I'm doing the air quotes of how true it is, and I don't know whether it's true and you're just trying to like, spin around it, or if it's not true and you're
See, the thing is, you've already
trying
thought
to
about this more
make
than
it
Boat
true.
thought about saying this.
I know, and that could be the point too. Maybe he just wants to make us think about it, so that if there's anybody stupid watching and listening, that their heads explode.
Redline,
Well,
here's
you
the
know
thing.
there's somebody stupid listening or watching. I mean,
Listen,
that's just a
here's the thing, Redline.
What's the thing?
Do you want it to be true that those Keepstars are unanchoring in Delve? Do you want it to be true?
I don't think anybody really cares overall. It's just more interesting than anything.
Well, I want to know if Redline wants that to be true.
I think Redline cares.
I honestly don't. Like,
You
if
talk
I'm...
about it a lot.
What do you mean? I've said 3 things about it.
So the thing is that I think at this point in the war, right, that people might realize is that Keepstars don't mean as much as people thought they did. Like the space around them matters, and the iHubs matter, and everything else matters, but Keepstars themselves.
Do you know what I'm annoyed about this war, Billy? I'm actually first time I've spoken to you since the start of the war. Do you know what I'm really fucking annoyed about with this war? If you'd have waited like another month, we'd have got to 68 Keepstars and Delve, and I would have anchored 69, and I would have quit the game. That's all I wanted was number 69. You can't take that away. Like the nice star is what I would have named it, and then done. I'm done. I'm out.
If you're looking for a 69, hey, Giannis is he's available.
So you were at 68, right?
We were. There were plans to go all the way up to 68, and then I would have number 69, and then I would be done. Like
No.
everything in Eve would have been accomplished.
So I have taken that accomplishment away from you.
You've robbed me of it.
What would you have named it, Jay?
The nice star.
No.
What does that even mean? The nice star.
Like nice and like
when someone
NOIC?
says
Or...
Oh,
nice.
nice?
As in,
Nice.
N-I-C. Yeah, so when someone says 69, they go nice. So are you not with the memes, Billy? The Zoomer memes?
No, I'm not a Zoomer
Oh.
memer guy. Nice.
Neither am I, but
Oh, Jay, you're a Zoomer.
I am, but
a Zoom.
I don't like.
Do you partake in the Zoomer memes?
I think
I find some of them funny. I don't understand some of them.
Do you dab? That's a very important question.
It seems like the opposite of an important
think-
question.
I think dab is already out of.
Dab
out of
is
touch now.
That's way
that's-
way old. That's like planking.
Brisk is probably like more up to date on Zoomer memes than I am, right? With his son and everything.
Exactly.
What about
I have a kid Yoshi's age, so I have to be up on that stuff.
What about the Orange Justice?
The TikTok dance is still a thing, or are we on to like,
I literally
the Fortnite thing?
I just googled dab. It goes year 2010 to 2017. It's fucking dead,
There you
dude.
go. It's old.
Wait, it started
Old
in
news.
2010?
That's a good idea. How many Keepstars does Tappy have? I could join Tappy and have number 69 there.
We only have like 30.
See,
Does anyone?
that's
How
a
many
shame.
does Hard Knocks have? Like, they must be up there right now.
Hard Knocks? I think they have
Not as many as they had 2 years ago.
Is this in wormholes you're discussing, or I'm not tracking Hard Knocks having a big hold in anywheres?
I don't know. They were up to like 3 on one pot at one point, right?
It's quite a long way from 69.
The fuck? How did Yoshi get in here? Who did this?
Sneak 100.
Purge him.
Justice for Yoshi.
Oh god.
It was fucking worth it, dude.
What the fuck
Christ.
was that?
I feel like talking about the 69s and having Yoshi in the channel makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Oh boy.
It's
As
okay.
it should. Yeah.
He's gone now. We're
He's
safe.
about to start school
He
again.
never
so-
was here.
Wait, Jay's 13. I don't know if we can talk about 69s with Jay here either. That's-
Actually, 14, the T7.
Oh, happy birthday. Are you the same age as Tao?
Because
I have dual birthday parties. You weren't invited?
Oh,
Taz been 16 for what, like 3 or 4 years now? Eh?
no, he's actually like, everyone always jokes about how old Tao is, but I think he's 17 now. He just sounds like a 30-year-old man because he smoked cigarettes since he was 9.
That's a shame. Smoking is very bad for you.
So you
Well,
like-
in
everyone
Russia,
around you.
it's the national sport, so he's just representing his people.
That is unfortunate. All right, so Twitch chat, can you guys hear the warp drive active stuff still, or is it gone now? I need to know this so that
I
I
can't
can
hear
stop
it. Well,
worrying
you're
about
asking
I
you're
cannot
asking
hear
the
it.
chat. You're not asking us who are on the
Okay.
show because we can't hear anything because we have it muted.
Yeah, correct. Right. Just like everybody else should have the show muted.
Smart.
Just watching the show with it muted.
They don't need to watch anything except for me winking at them and holding up posters that say "Watch the Meta Show." That's all you need to see.
Yeah.
That
So
is enough.
for anybody who's unaware, Brisk is a host on a show on Saturday, where if you'd like to go and watch it, what time does it start on Saturdays?
Starts at 4 p.m. Freedom Time, 2000 Eve time.
Okay, so 2000 Eve time, you could watch the Meta Show, or you could do something more entertaining and eat glass.
Or drink window.
That would not be entertaining, nor would I suggest that anyone do that because that would be harmful to them. You monster.
In
Very
game.
Very toxic, sir.
That's
You're violating
extremely
your
toxic.
own rules.
In
That's the
game.
difference between Trash Talk
Toxic.
Tuesday and the Meta Show. The Meta Show would never tell me to eat glass.
Exactly right.
I think
They
that
would
yeah.
never do that.
And see, that's the difference between the Meta Show
The-
and this
The
show.
Meta
is that
Show,
this show doesn't.
We're awful people.
The Meta Show poisons you over time, right? It's like tobacco. Like eventually it'll just kill you, but I just,
But you'll
eating glass
enjoy the
will
ride
hurt
while
you.
it happens.
But this show just kills you
Well,
outright.
damn.
The Meta
Right.
Show answers the question: what if the Unabomber had a stream feed?
No.
Yikes.
That would. That's more
that's-
like open comms on a Friday night. Listen,
Wait.
Actually, that's
fair.
actually
Meta Show
On
provides
Friday night, we don't talk about.
yeah.
fair and balanced. The most trusted name in Eve News is the Meta Show, and that's why I will be giving an exclusive interview on the Meta Show this Saturday with Bristol.
The headliner.
But not headliner. Never headliner.
No, here is the rule, and this is the other thing. We are not one of these shows where anybody can just show up and come on. You have to be invited. And if people start lobbying and harassing any of the hosts to get their friends on the show, every time it happens is a month until they get asked again. So I'm pretty sure Headliner is not going to be on the show until sometime in 2025.
Unless you're Billy and then you're on the show like 3 weeks in a row.
We ask Billy on because we like to hear from him.
I mean, we like to hear from him too. That's why he's on every week on Trash Talk Tuesday.
To be fair, I haven't been asked to come back on the Meta Show.
Well, we haven't had to hear
It's
from you. in a
The
month.
events.
Well, it's always hard, right? The big difference is Trash Talk Tuesday is a free expression of ideas, and the Meta Show is a very heavily scripted propaganda broadcast. So you can't really have an open guest appearance on a show that has such a strict guidelines on what's acceptable to say.
So there's no
Sort of
truth
a-
in either show.
I thought of a hilarious idea, Brisk, we could do for a show. For the Meta Show, is if we get, we ran out of guests or whatever, we could have Fountain Frank and Brisk Rubal interview Wilsk.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
that
I'm
would be
wondering how many characters we could put you in.
That would be
Dude,
interesting.
You could do the same kind of green screen thing that we're doing here with Wilsk and Brisk and then be Fountain Frank. And then you could just interview yourself.
So someone needs to start a show on Saturdays called the Better Show instead of the Meta Show. I'd
Like-
watch
like
the Better Show.
The BETA.
Yeah,
You get a bunch of betas and just like
Yeah.
talk
Okay,
about
Like
how
the beta show,
other
but
people are
it's better.
doing good things in the game.
Look,
Like-
look, Vert, I am literally making the logo for that right now. That is a great idea, and I'm so in.
Make
We
an
had the-
alliance.
We
I
had the
suggest a
idea
topic for
like a
description.
year ago, but we were just so lazy that we couldn't be bothered to do it. That's the sad truth. It was meant to be an impartial discussion of all things fun in the game, and it would be called the Better Show. But
Dude, if you had like
laziness
High and Tao as the
that was
commentators,
the
I would.
plan.
Oh my god, that would be great.
That was the plan. Yeah.
You probably
We
get
could
kicked off
have-
the Twitch in like a
We'd
fucking
be
week though.
banned
But
off, we'd be banned off
Yeah.
Twitch within the first show, but it
For
would
sure.
be a really glorious one show.
I'd watch that.
Then
shit,
we
dude.
have like the leather show where Jay and Mason is host in like a leather jacket, biker jacket.
I
I
think
don't
you
own
missed.
any
I think
leather
you
That's
missed
jackets,
the
Bill. I'm
point. Yeah.
sorry to. My wardrobe is very boring, Bill. I don't own any leather jackets.
You could have said I don't own any leather clothes, but you chose to restrict it to jackets. What?
Yeah,
what are the
that's what I'm
what-
focusing on here
what
as
are
well.
the-
Is
What other leather garments do you own, Jay Amazingness?
I have some leather gloves. I don't think everyone should have a pair of leather gloves, right? Nice pair of
You
leather
could have
gloves.
gone for assless chaps, right?
Yeah, assless
What I
chaps
had.
the way. Leather.
Well, I
assless.
didn't know if that kid was still in here, so I didn't want to be.
I think Bill's
crass.
falling asleep.
He's not.
Bill's still here.
Oh, okay.
Did you make a joke and I missed it?
No, Bill, you wouldn't have understood it. Did anyone see the attempt this? It was a couple of days ago with the dude trying to ref the perimeter keepstar in Catalysts?
How did that go? Did that go poorly or did it go really good?
Yeah, so gentleman was advertising an attack on the TTT on Facebook. So everybody knew a month in advance. He was recruiting openly, trying to get people to come help him.
Had
He
like
decided-
20,000 catalysts.
So yeah, and he prepped up to apparently 20,000 catalysts. His scheduled event happened a few days ago, aka I think yesterday or the day before. I can't remember now. Days kind of blur. And so moment of anticipation arrived, and he had 35 guys show up to help him, and they promptly suicided into the awaiting arms of dozens and dozens of people who were ready to farm Catalyst, and they got the TTT to like 99%. And after feeding a couple hundred Catalysts, they were like, all right, I guess this isn't going to work, and decided to filament off and roam in nullsec.
Oh my god, dude.
I had fun.
So
That's the most. It was so cute watching them, and then after a while, it was like this is really depressing.
So it seems
I
like
mean, I
it
don't know what
went
people
as
really
expected.
So the idea of critical mass never occurred to them, I suppose.
I mean,
Well, the
that's
critical
exactly
mass to
what I
go after the
expected.
TTT is like 700 people or something like ridiculous, probably. Like, you know, it's not like it's one of those things where you can just like casually do it, and people don't always
Yeah.
understand that. You know, these large groups don't just magically come together. Like, you have to have some things that glue people together before you pick the target, especially a hard one. Otherwise, nobody's interested in that bullshit. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to do hard work for no reason. Like, it just doesn't quite work that way.
Well, it would actually like hurt them in the long run, right? Because the Tranquility Trading Tower provides the best deals across New Eden. Right?
It's actually true. Like, the crazy thing is, most people don't realize like just how much the TTT affects the Eve ecosystem in general. Like, just the addition, for example, of the Rebel reactor and Igniting literally brought down the price of intermediate components in Eve by about 5%, which literally means all of the ships in New Eden probably came down in price by about 3 to 5%, entirely based on efforts of the TTT. When you add in that extra couple percent taxes that are made via TTT, like, it's quite literally possible the TTT saves every person in New Eden between 5 and 10% on almost every purchase they make at Eve, which is crazy to think about the effects that actually has.
Well, it's not that crazy.
I didn't know the igniting thing was called the Rebel Reactor. That's cool as fuck.
Yeah, we had to do a new corp for the Igniting one, so we called it Tranquility Rebel Corporation. So it's the Rebel Reactor, the Rebel Tower, and Rebel Capital Plant, just to give them cooler names than the boring TTT kind of names.
You know, quite a few groups are also still planning to bring it down, Philly.
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of people that are willing to try, and you know, they're.
I mean, I have
Oh,
plans
some are
to.
convinced that if they bring it down into armor, then something occurs. Then goons might backstab you and try to get involved in fights. It's silly, and their ambitions, well, it's poorly planned. Well, their idea is bringing down the Tranquility Trading Tower, at least for war purposes, would harm Test and Horde far more than it would hurt goons.
Anyone who talks about attacking the TTT Keepstar and Perimeter was never in one of those Ferox fights for like 6 hours.
Well,
I was. Jesus.
They were
Interesting.
horrible.
Well,
They
it's
were
funny because I
terrible.
saw your broadcast. You guys did a broadcast a little while ago, like a day or two ago, for Feroxes, and I'm like, I got some Feroxes left, boys. Still got 1,000 here. Like, you know, but they're in fucking perimeter, and obviously they're no good. So.
Didn't you guys use Hurricanes, or did you guys use Hurricanes a second time?
Yeah, we used Hurricanes, but the cache is like 90% Feroxes, because like
gotcha.
Feroxes were just like you like there's nothing at the nullsec level or the high sec level where you can realistically like gimmick tank against Feroxes. So it's like you literally just fit all tank mods, you fit your Ferox, you load it up with some damage mods and some guns, and we'll see it in 2 hours, boys. Let's just start shooting. Like, everybody's got ECM drones on them and they can't smart them away. Like, it's...
Thank you for reminding me. I should see how many Feroxes I still have in ISK.
I'm sure you... I think
I think we bought them for like... We bought like a couple hundred from you for like 20 mil each.
Yeah, they were only 30 mil at the time, so...
Yeah, that's crazy.
How would, just to kind of like, I think this kind of shows something interesting. How long ago did you amass or start amassing the Ferox cash that you guys have?
I haven't touched it since the TTT Wars. We had over 1,000, so it's like, I'm not going to bother.
Like a year ago?
TTT is 20 months ago, I think.
Wait,
No,
it
would not be 20 months since, but it would be...
Okay, so say, I don't know, 18 months.
I was in Goons when it was happening. Because I remember going up there and we were going to try to fight NC and Horde, and we couldn't because we weren't war decked against them, or some stupid shit like that.
So, say 18 months ago, the fact that Feroxes haven't changed. I mean, Ferox is like a baseline staple for a lot of alliances, right? Like, they're just kind of, everyone uses Feroxes. The fact that there's been no real balance passes that kind of change the status quo of the Ferox compared to other battle cruisers or other comparable ships is kind of depressing, right?
Not like, it's important to understand that Feroxes are mostly garbage outside of like high sec, right? Because all the weaknesses that Ferox have are based around its size and mobility, and all these things don't matter in high sec because you can't be bombed, you can't be, you have no application, no real thing to worry about capitals at all. Like, the Ferox is good in that situation, right? Like, outside that, it's I'm sure. I think both sides have lost a big pile of Feroxes in a bomb run now. But like,
I found 3,000 2,500mm railgun 2s in the perimeter Keepstar in one of my hangars.
Yeah, like, there's no
I'd like to
shortage.
address something by BWelder87, and he says, funny how Billy explains what's wrong in the TTT, but explains it's not a problem that helps everyone. I actually have a real-life analogy I can give to him, and that is the British royal family. Though they cost the taxpayer money, we give them all of this, the matter of the fact is they, through tourism, though not currently due to the coronavirus, but through tourism, they earn the British people far more money than we pay them. It's sort of this weird, complicated way where, yes, the people who operate the TTT and shareholders earn a lot of ISK, but at the same time, the potential for you to use this and benefit from it, well, it's far greater than
How much the tabloids make rich, reporting on every move they do as well.
So here's a question: what is actually wrong with the TTT?
The fact that, to be honest, it's because you have this passive income that is greater than some small nullsec alliances. You can just sit there and you can make this money and you can just snowball into infinite power. This thing gives you... This thing is godhood, essentially.
There's nothing
And
wrong
some
with
people
it.
don't like that.
So is passive income wrong, or the amount of passive income?
I'm not too sure.
Because earlier on this show, we all kind of generally agree, and most people in this game seem to agree, that Eve needs more passive income. Like, does anyone disagree with that statement?
I tell you what, Vinny, I dislike the idea of the passive moon income mining, because all it would do, if they reintroduce passive income, my guess is you and various other groups are just going to do a scramble for Africa and grab every bit of system and set up a passive income and just sit on that wealth.
That's very short-sighted.
We're trying to high horse about income right now.
Isn't that just how the game works, though? Isn't that kind of...
That's okay. So, Rich, two things. Firstly, I think what you're trying, I might be wrong, but the amount of passive income isn't really an issue. I think personally that it's relatively unassailable passive income. Like, I think we could probably all agree to some extent that maybe having Keepstars in high sec was an oversight by CCP. They probably shouldn't have done, but like, we're past that point now, and it is what it is, right? So it exists. But I would think that a good change might be that you can no longer anchor Keepstars, and the one that is there, that needs to die if it's going to die in a reasonable and like decent way. But passive income is like so important to so many different parts of the game. It's so important because most groups that want a PvP don't want to spend time earning money in a game, and having passive income that you can get fights over as well, like for example, say like a Fortizar in high sec, if it was just a Fortizar, like something that's actually a winnable fight, that would be a lot more fun for people.
The issue is, if one group has passive income and the other group doesn't, then the group with passive income would always come out on top. And if you have this passive income you can just set up, then why wouldn't an alliance just blitz through entire regions and just set up passive income in every single system?
Because that's not
because Rich, this is a problem that happened with moons, right? With the old style of moons where you could passively mine them, is that it's man hours to go around and collect all that moon goo. So what the optimal way to do it is you install renters, charge them rent to live in the system, and then if they want the moons as well, give us 20% of the moon income.
Well,
and that way it's
then
just ISK being given to you. That's
well,
the
the
way you would
problem
do it.
is essentially you're just holding all of these for passive income, and
you're
any
not
smaller
though,
group that
Rich.
wants to
You
move into
can't.
these, then they can't. There's no way for
Yeah,
any
they
other group to
can.
start
They
up.
can. A
Like what,
smaller
becoming
group
a
moving
renter?
into a region. No, a small group that moves into a region where a far off power has just decided to take the moons. Do you think they're going to sustainably come every week, every couple of days for a timer? Like, this is not how it works.
The smaller group isn't backed up by passive
They don't
income.
need
The
to
group
be.
with the
They
passive
don't
income
need
can
to
just
be.
use the passive income to send whoever the hell they want
That's
to
not
deal with the
how
smaller group.
reality. That's not how reality works. Right. So say, okay. So to use an example that's semi-recent, say in it, and we're talking about like a passive moon income in Syndicate, right? So they could have the passive moons in Syndicate. The Syndicate locals could ref those every other day with bombers, right? They're not expensive. You don't need passive income to afford bombers. And if it turn up, right, sure, they run away, and then they come back and ref it as soon as in it are gone. It's not sustainable for an alliance to constantly defend passive income regions away. That's just not sustainable. Eventually, the small guys will win through with persistence, and they'll get that income. Like,
Alternatively,
there's
you use
no.
a fraction of that persistent income. You pay a SIG, a renter, whatever. You give them a bunch of ships to kill off those bombers, and then the people who are using the bombers, well, they're fighting an uphill battle. They don't have the resources. And sure, the bombers may be cheap, but
Well,
it's just as cheap to hire somebody to deal with them.
if you lose bombers shooting a citadel, then like you're probably not going to be able to take any space or hold anything anyway, right? Like because cloak is a pretty simple button to press. But like if there's actual income at stake, like you just, I don't know. I feel like you set your mind on this as being the one way that is possible, and you're not open to thinking about it the realistic way because you can't sustain. Like sure, you say you could hire people to come and do it, but what you're going to keep paying people to go into a system every couple of hours when these guys are reffing it, you're going to be spending more than the passive income's worth. Like, it's just not sustainable. Like, manpower is a thing, man effort, time invested is a thing. Like, you're not going to be able to hold passive income regions and regions away. Not with the way that the game's set up.
Okay, I see.
Like,
But
it's important to
the issue
remember, like,
with-
right now in Esoteria, we deal with the Stain Russians on a pretty consistent basis. And we can, like, just outside of our, like, normal jump range, because of their level of persistence, they are extremely difficult to deal with. And, like, you know, that's their thing, right? Like, they do it 24/7. They're harass. But, like, how do I put this? There's a line of like effort where if you're willing to put the effort in, there's very little you can't do in this game. And many people don't really see that and are unwilling to recognize just how that works, I guess you could say. Like it's hard for me to explain it, but like if you're willing to put the effort in, there's very few fights you know you're gonna lose in.
A good example
That's
might
how
be
a lot of everything in Eve is, though. Is like a lot of these motherfuckers don't do something, but they see somebody else doing it, so they're like, "Oh my god, that's so overpowered! Like, how can you have a Keepstar in NISAC that generates S?" It's like, well, motherfucker, I didn't see you raise.
Well,
X
it's
amount
also like it's also not like we have to literally cut in like the entirety of the galaxy, including people we're fighting a war with, because that's like the winning the play, right? Like, you know, people always seem to think that the TTT just generates this money because, you know, it's there, but it generates that money and it does so securely because were willing to go through the diplomatic lengths and the security lengths to maintain it. Like, people don't see the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ops that people did to remove tax structures over the course of the years. People don't see the hundreds of ops that people did to, hold and take that tower and then defend it the first time. Like, no, nobody sees anything. They just see, oh, you're making, 1 trill a month. That's unsustainable.
You're not
That's
seeing
unacceptable.
the top level Facebook reconnaissance that's happening, Rich.
No. I see. I see, and I appreciate and understand the top level and the efforts and the sheer logistics it was to get the TTT set up. I've no issue with that. My concern is how would I get my 0.1% of the TTT shares?
I'd say first start a null alliance.
I mean, let's be honest here. You want to cut at the TTT? Go
Become
at
relevant
Nerman.
enough to attack it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I'd have
it's
to-
not fucking rocket science. I can tell you right now. If you want to get bought in on the TVT, war deck it. Attack us every day until we want to fucking pay you to leave us the fuck alone. Anybody in Eve can do that, but there are limited people willing to actually put in the fucking work. Because I can tell you, ICY did. Right? Like, there's more than a few Heiseg mercs we fucking pay for a reason.
To put it into perspective, like to Villy's point, when Spaceship Samurai and Concordia, we were still a thing, when we were living in NPC Delve and got our shit kicked in by NC. We literally made money by setting up every single day, setting up various moon siphon units on their posses and stealing their moon goo from them. Like, it was a ton of effort, but we made a ton of money.
Really miss moon siphon units. They was
I
so
fucking do
good.
too.
There was
I love them.
it was such a fun, really niche gameplay style you could do.
Yeah.
I remember logging in like 12 of my blockade runner characters every day and just slowly scooping out the moon goo.
I knew a guy who's super rich, and I'm like, hey, how do you have so much money? It's like, oh, moon money. And I'm just like, but wait, doesn't NC own the moons? Yeah, but I own a moon siphon on their tower.
Well, speaking of siphoning and moons, when does the surveillance system changes occur? Because now, when these bots, dock up and flee, you can now steal all their income. I'm
Stop
curious.
talking about yourself so much, Jesus.
I don't know what you're talking about. We've all seen the update. We've all heard about it. The
It
surveillance
won't
system-
affect him in wormholes, Bill, so he's not concerned about it.
So, CCP, what's his name? What's his CCP name?
If you say Fuzzy.
No, the developer that's working on it announced it on stream. Some details about what's going to happen with the ESS, but no date has been released. So
That's a shame. Bill,
Why
you
is
know
that a shame?
aware of what's going on?
Rich, you
they
talking
did
about
not
passive
come
income
through.
is analogous to me saying wormholes are too easy to roll. You need to extend the time frame of them before they respawn, because I don't understand what links you go through in order to get a rolling chain going or whatever the fuck you guys do up there.
I can personally say that running a wormhole corp is also pretty hard, especially when you forget to refuel the tower.
Ouch, dude. No, then you just gotta put up a fucking hick bubble.
Tried the wormhole thing with Half Squad, and it was just a bunch of I don't know the correct terminology to use, but there was a bunch of dudes that were very heavily invested in this game who got very, very angry when you didn't fucking name your wormhole bookmark correctly.
Yeah, it's like the fucking, it's like
someone's
the
not
peak of
the chain
chain
properly.
definitely some drama. There's no doubt about that one.
Yeah, I worked with some HK guys for I don't know, 2 weeks or something, and there was a lot of that going around.
So, just while we're on a different topic here, what was the fight just over in Y2, Jay? I'm not tracking this fight, but looks like you guys had a nice little brawl in Y2 on the ZXP gate or somewhere in Y2.
I'm just looking at this pile of Ferox that I just found. My retirement plan right here. These Feroxes.
What can I say? You're welcome. Looks like Laz leading Serbs into Horde ANIs.
We were shooting the jammer, I think.
The jammer? Oh, in Y2,
Yeah.
Horde was shooting, and then
That's the lot.
wow.
Oh shit, you killed it. That's mean.
That seems like it was probably a bad idea.
Get the jammer? Yay!
Actually,
Yeah,
I
you
got
guys
shit to
are
move.
using
I got
like
shit to
this
move, man.
weird Asher Fit Karma or Serb fleet thing.
No, do you know what that is? I'm so happy about a fountain in some ways. I never have to deal with those fucking dudes moving them again.
Dude, I felt so bad for anyone that had to try and like. I don't understand.
Do you have the comms recording of the time, like the one that like I'm normally a pretty calm person. I like to consider myself, but I nearly had a meltdown of this one dude who lost his Ragnarok on that move up.
I'll be honest.
Oh, the guy that turned back in.
Yeah, where he went back in. No, he went back
into the bubble.
I'm getting angry
Yes.
thinking of it.
It was
like,
fucking
we
fantastic.
got like 3 Titans got drag bubbled. I told them all to refit bosons before the dreads were even on grid. So there's no threat. I'm like, okay, just refit bosons. One of them didn't speak English, and he was translated to. That's understandable. It's like whatever. The other dude said okay, and didn't do anything for the rest of the fight. The third dude was in a levy, was free of bubbles for half the fight, and then turned around and went back into them.
Burned back into them.
We probably should have shot the levy, but I thought because I died and the other target caller had died very quickly, so we thought that I just didn't think we had enough treads to do it. We probably did, but I don't know. I was talking to someone about this the other day, right? Like in a situation in nullsec where you're warping to a gate where on the other side of it you're not in range to jump back, and you're warping from a position that's more like a citadel distance away. With the right bubble strategy, there's nothing anyone can do. Like there's literally nothing anyone can do. You're going to be outside of DD range either side with stop bubbles and drag bubbles. Like it's pretty horrible. Like it made me so glad I live in nullsec. Like there's literally nothing you can do. It's a little bit broken. I don't know how you would fix it, but I drew a diagram explaining it the other day with MS Paint because all good Eve things are explained with MS Paint, and yeah, like all it takes is enough Titans moving that you can decloak and bubble, and someone might just be about to click warp, and if they click warp and you're ready to drop on them, they're dead. There's nothing that person can do, and it is. I don't know. From like a hunter's point of view, I think it's hilarious, but from like a balance point of view, I think it's dumb.
But you can not warp when the FC tells you not to warp.
Yeah, but the problem is like if you're about to click on the warp button and a guy just presses like so my cloak is on F1 and my bubble's on F2, right? If you're about to click warp and I just press F1 F2, like you've got a 2-second window to decide not to warp. Do you know what I mean? And that's assuming someone sees the dicta. That's a pretty slim margin of error.
Where they warp in a minute and a half after the bubble's been up.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay,
it was like 5 minutes. It seemed
Okay,
like
well,
you told no warp and they did anyway.
Oh, well, in that case, they're just kind of,
It was fantastic. I was laughing my ass off. It was hilarious.
Do you know what I mean? Though? Like people are warping. You decloak and bubble. If someone was just about to click warp and they click warp and they don't react in those 2 seconds, so they have to stop, then they're fucked. Like because they're going to be outside of DD range of the guys that have landed on the gate. They're going to be outside of DD range of the guys that land on the secondary stop bubble. Faxes can't warp to them. In the current meta of T2 gun damage and Titan EHP, they're done for.
To be fair, I have found myself spinning my computer looking at the wrong gate and warping to the right gate.
That happened in my tat too. That was a whole other thing.
No, they warped to the wrong gate and were probably
I mean, in that situation, I can kind of see.
Those were spies. Those were not actual. That didn't actually happen. Those were spies.
Oh, here we go again. Here we go again with this.
I explained this. I don't know why you got to keep explaining this to you guys. It's like you don't listen.
It was pretty clear to me. I got it.
Spies.
So one thing too that can we all just have a moment of silence? Can we all just have a moment of silence for the Culture's Keepstar that they lost in J5A?
I know, right?
Like,
hey, I was there when we put that up. So,
damn.
Well, despite the fact that, I mean, I gotta say, I gotta thank PanFam for killing that thing because it was so fucking misaligned wrong. I don't know how it stayed up for as long as it did. Like
Fucking
that was the
eyesore.
most annoying.
It wasn't that it wasn't misaligned. You can kind of deal with the misaligns like
It was fucking annoying.
It was above the gate, so you had to like
Right,
you had
you're
to
going
put it
down.
I'm
You're warping
surprised the
down.
Culture
Who the hell
didn't kill
does that?
themselves. Like, let's be real here. The Culture should have just done it themselves.
Exactly. That's why I don't think they decided to contest it because they realized, all right, look, it's embarrassing for us as an alliance to have this on our resume that we actually aligned to Keepstar, so we have to warp down to get to the gate. So they kind of just were like, "Go ahead and blow it up. It's fine."
Then again,
so that's why I don't think there was a fight.
I really can't talk shit.
That was an Imperium Keepstar. It belonged to the Goonswarm Federation, and it was destroyed. It was the first one in history.
That's not true.
It was
I don't
killed.
think it was.
We killed.
Look, the
I'm on the
Goons
kill
have
mail.
never lost a Keepstar.
Except for the 3 that they've lost in the past week. Do not
They haven't lost 3. They
get
haven't
your
lost
hate
any.
speech off my campus.
Stop
Stop this.
eyes. Why Frank lie though?
Miriam has lost 3.
I just don't understand this.
One in,
why
uh,
you have to make things up.
And, okay, now that the campaign is pushing into Delve, where would Goonswarm?
Whoa. What do you mean the campaign is pushing into Delve?
Has it?
When does that happen?
Come on,
Well,
Rich.
it's-
Rich,
When does
come
that
on,
happen?
dude.
Progressive.
Well,
The
Rich, are
campaign's
you guys
coming.
fighting in DXB this
I was
afternoon?
about to say it.
Well,
The
technically,
leaving.
When does it happen?
Did you fight in ZXB this afternoon?
I did not. I fought in.
All right, Jay. Did you
where the
guys
fuck
fight
was
in
I? TCAG?
ZXB this afternoon?
Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot
Maybe,
going
I
on.
don't know. Yeah.
Not
So
sure where they people
obviously there
fight,
was
I'm
a
just
fight
first-
in Delve.
Billy, did you
involving
fight
both-
in ZXB?
I did not.
Yeah,
Test
exactly.
is
So
doing
there you go.
nothing.
Test did not
hearsay,
fight
yeah.
in ZXB.
It's
This
all
war is a
hearsay.
shame.
Test is doing nothing. Where is Test? Like, you know.
Exactly.
next.
This is a shame. You heard it out of Billy's own mouth. Where is
is
Test?
doing
I actually ran a Munin fleet for the first time in like 3 months yesterday. I was really proud of
sorry.
myself. A little
was
fight
he?
with Pro God.
I
I was super proud of myself. And afterwards, Alice was like, "Yeah, you didn't do that well."
I give Billy and them props. Their leadership's making a good move by holding back and saving up and making sure they don't expend a bunch of like a fuck ton of losses, so that when NC turns around and starts hitting all their shit, they have a bunch of war coffers to reach into and grab ships and replacements out of.
Bill,
Well, I thought they're still staging, aren't they?
Because
Still
the,
staging?
the amount of
Info-
times the Imperium has said this
Still in phase
is
1.
almost equal to the amount of times I talk about fucking bots. We got.
No, it's
You got
not.
to get some new
Oh,
material.
no, it's
Fucking
not.
drop your
No,
pants.
it's not.
Get some new material. Make a fucking
Rich,
balloon.
I'm not dropping
put
my
on some
pants for
clown
you.
paint
My
or
door
something.
does not swing that way,
Rich,
bro.
like the thing is, they don't really understand is the problem. Like, we're gonna be happy to fight NC and PL after the war is over. The expectation that we will fight each other while the war is still ongoing, I wish them the best of luck.
I'm curious to where the Imperium are going to go after the loss. Should your campaign go well, there's a lot
I
of
got
speculation on
flagons.
when we're going to
Fountain.
move to.
Hey,
next.
I
Rich.
think they're going to Fountain.
Yeah,
Go
what's
into your
up, baby?
wormhole, bro.
No.
Guess where Goons are going to live after this war is over?
Current plan is 319, I believe, right?
Delve.
ISK.
Jesus.
So the current plan is NPC Delve, as far as we're tracking.
NPC Delve,
Without a
okay.
realization.
Nope, that's
just
my
exact-
space. That's my house. It's too. It's not enough people.
We have to
You're
rent.
about to have
NPC
neighbors,
Delve.
dude.
We won't have any money to rent, so.
My couch isn't big enough.
So the Imperium still wants to stay in nullsec, right? Or are they going to become a low-sec faction warfare?
So I am
alliance?
kind of curious. How do you guys plan to keep your super cap pilots? Period, I guess, when they have no Keepstars left. When you retreat to NPC Delve.
They'll be
Assuming
coughing.
you retreat to
Well,
NPC
I think the plan is to purge them. We don't want them anymore.
Is this? Are you going to enact Era's plan where you're going to shed off all
Well,
of
no,
the
like,
unneeded
like
weight?
Rich, like I'm not memeing. Like I'm actually genuinely curious because I've heard this line multiple times where it's like we're just gonna retreat to NPC Delve, it's gonna be all good, but like that doesn't seem to take into the reality of the difference since World War B1, where supercaps now expect to be able to dock. If your
Well,
alliance
five
can't
pe-
provide a Keepstar for your supercaps to dock, then in most cases you're not a real alliance to a degree.
You've also got to take into account the fact that a lot of people's supercap pilots are them subcap mains. So like, how are they going to be getting into the subcaps for fights if they're stuck coffined in a Keepstar?
Dude, I'm in an
Well, and
alliance.
most super pilots now, on average, actually have 2 to 3 supers.
Yep, that's a
And
problem.
I'm very curious as to what the strategy is going to be to solve this very significant kind of problem.
Well, it's like where boat goes. Like, well, what did we do before? We just had Fortizar. I was like, yeah, but you didn't have the option of having like an infinite amount of super like caps to attune, though, right? So it's gonna be shit that gets fucked up for sure. Also, I'd like to point out that like I'm in an alliance with like 600 other people, and we have a Keepstar. So get better.
Wow, there's very few alliances in the game that have any real supercap presence that don't have. Well, I'm not tracking any real. Can anybody think of an alliance that doesn't have a Keepstar?
I can tell you I can tell you that Keepstars are an abomination. And we will
Warps and
never have one.
incursions.
I mean, Snuff, but they don't really use super caps all that much. So
Well, you say
Wingspan's
that,
Alliance.
At the same time, people have a go at us for dripping Titans and everything.
well, you do, yeah, you do have. So to be fair, Snuff might be the exception to that, and that's only because I mean,
We have a
maybe
very
Snuff
strict
saw what
rule.
happened to the SC Keepstar and decided that
Well,
maybe they would stick with the Fortizars.
Or you can see what happened to Tao's Keepstar. But we have
Does
a very
Tao have a
strict,
Keepstar?
we had one. He had one for about an hour, but we have a very strict rule of like any Super or Titan pilots all have to be dedicated pilots. Like no, I need to jump out of my Titan to get into my subcap for a fleet. Because I think if Tao ever, that's the main reason why I never have a Keepstar. Because if anyone ever said I can't get into a subcap, I'm stuck in my Titan or something, he'd probably actually quit the game again. So, and most of our efforts as an alliance is to stop Tao quitting the game.
But to a degree, it's important to remember as well. You guys have access to public Keepstars in Amamaki, Baskarin.
That's only recently though. Oh well, the
Baskarin's
Baskarin
been
one.
up for years now.
Yeah, but that's like two mids, right? So that's not something you can just go and hop out of like for a fleet.
Also, isn't that like a giant trap always?
Well, no, Igniting's not, but the journey there is a pretty treacherous one.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen when Delve falls? Should the campaign go that way, you're gonna retreat into NPC Delve and fucking just sit there sucking on your thumbs.
No, Rich, what's going to happen is they're going to rent from Horde. I heard there's some good floodplains for sale.
Why did you drain the floodplains like the Dutch did?
Yeah,
Germany?
we're draining the swamp.
I think you guys
I
are,
mean,
you're
what's
all
the
being
alternative?
very optimistic.
Can you
Of course we
very
are.
optimistic.
Sebastian's got
I know what.
space to rent down for
Okay,
you guys.
It's important to remember,
I'll tell you
Brisk.
what isn't
It's
optimistic.
It's
I'll tell you
important
what
to
isn't
remember,
optimistic. If
Billy.
you retreat,
Rich, you're not
into
supposed to be
Losec,
talking
you're
without an
gonna-
American accent.
Oh, that's
So
right.
it's important to remember, Brisk, that it's entirely possible that we lose this war. That is always a reality. But we're only going to discuss the eventuality we really want to talk about. I can absolutely talk about how bad things can go for Test Tier, or how bad things can go for the attackers. It's
I would love to
100%
hear that.
possible.
How bad could they go for you?
I mean, if Tess loses, it's basically Jurassic Park. Like,
Yeah,
Billy already
actually,
said
that
it.
is kind of the meme, but it's like absolutely true, right? If we lose, we're going to be retreating back through Faith. We're going to be retreating back through Tenerife's, trying to build space. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's absolutely a possibility. If you ignore those possibilities, you create a situation where you just open yourself up to getting like hard shafted, or I don't know what to call it, but like you have to acknowledge every possibility, right? Otherwise, you're just opening yourself up to.
I like hard shafted. That's a nice phrase.
Insert Jurassic Park theme song here.
I'll
please.
defend you, Billy. I'll defend you.
I remember.
I just want
Billy,
Reddit to
I talked to you.
survive.
Billy, I remember I talked to you about potential locations for a big nullsec alliance, and some of the places you covered. I thought, where would Imperium retreat to if they wanted to go to a nullsec region? I mean, if obviously if they go into low-sec and NPC space, that's going to be real fucking shit. They're going to be picked apart by low-sec Schneier and Ivana, and
Yeah, because that happened the
they can
last
fucking.
time.
Oh yeah, you can fucking deny it,
good,
but at the end of the day, you're going to suffer attrition in numbers because you're going to sit
Well,
there.
let's be real here. Losec Naya, the guy, Ivana, all these groups that camp the Losec pipes, they are very effective, and they get just as many of our Titans as they do of Goon Titans, and that is just acceptable losses for everybody in the game, because you have to understand that if you're planning to make any travels through Losec and you don't have a Keepstar chain, you're going to lose some supers, because people are going to want to do it on their own. They're not going to follow simple rules, and they're going to get themselves killed every single time. I mean, literally, some Evictus super with, not Evictus, Severance super with like a cloak and a prop mod. I assume he won it in like Hypernet or something. Died there yesterday. Like, it's just par for the course everywhere you go.
I mean, to Billy's point, when I transferred from Test to PanFam, like I moved my super. Granted, I went AFK on a Citadel and I started getting bumping, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, you need Keepstar.
Yeah, like when I moved down to join Test from the northern regions, I came like 2 seconds off of losing my Titan to these guys too. Like, even if you're a good pilot, if you make one simple minor mistake, like the minorest of fucking mistakes, you get yourself killed. And like, I know I got like hyper lucky, and it doesn't take much. These guys are very good at what they do, and if you don't give them the proper respect as you move through their space, they will 100% kill you.
It
I
depends where you're
don't
moving.
trust.
through,
No,
like-
I don't even trust that anymore. Like, with like the server issues and the chat issues and everything, is even if you are like the only person local, you can never be 100% sure.
I would travel through test space.
Yeah, I
would
mean
travel
that's
through test
what
or horde
Jay's just
space.
what Jay just said is actually 100% true. I distinctly remember trying to do an NPC Sotillo with nobody in local, and just as it dies, Cable appears and like steals loot, and I was like, what? You know, like, and that was like a couple years ago, so I assume whatever bug is fixed now. But like, there's always things where you're like, you know, it's fishy kind of thing, right? There's a
I
lot
trust
of like,
myself. I just don't trust CCP.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the regions, and I think, you know, you can't see the Imperium can't exactly go up north. They'll get shafted by Russians and the Chinese. They can't exactly go east because they'll suffer the wrath of Lady Scarlet. They can't exactly go south because that's where you are, Billy. Wherever they go, and I have.
well, if
And
Test
after-
is next, they can absolutely 100% come at us.
Oh,
I mean,
I know where they're going to go, Billy.
The
They're going to
rage.
go to the system that they
Rich.
caused one of the biggest wars. It's because one jump into
Rich.
Curse, they can jump into BR Tac 5B. They're going to Mency.
Rich, listen, Rich. I have to make
Isn't
sure that
Mency
you
a
know
test space?
this.
yes.
Is
Well,
that
it's not test, but test allies.
while your memes
like
are
it's-
strong, it is very possible for goons to go live in NPC Delve and live out of Fortizars and just cough in their super cap characters
Dude,
if they really
okay,
need to.
It's not possible.
And push all
And
of
and like I forget who said it earlier, but whoever said it earlier was right on the money. Unless someone actually goes and full-time lives in Delve and keeps goons from taking it back, they will assuredly take it back eventually.
You're missing two important parts there, though.
Well, I just think it's funny that you guys think that CCP is going to fix passcode before the end of this war.
The fact that like there's a big issue in a lot of nullsec alliances, but I think goons have it worse. That people's subcap mains being their Titan pilot, also their super pilot, and in some cases, I can remember even their fax pilot, which obviously makes no sense. But that's going to be very hard for
I don't think that's the case anymore, man. That was
Do you
like 2
remember-
years
You
ago.
literally, okay, Goons literally broadcast about this 2 days ago to be like, guys, make sure you have super cap alts, so you can't say
And
it's not
that's
an
been
issue
a,
anymore.
that's been a problem for like I can when I was in Goons, one of the directors of my corp had 2 accounts, and on one of his accounts he had his subcap main, which was also his super pilot, which was also his fax alt. And I tried to explain to him once that doesn't make sense.
We
And
used to have a guy in WeDot before WeDot. You know, we dotted.
We dotted.
That he had one account and 3 characters on the account. One of the characters was a Leviathan character that had a Leviathan. One of them was his subcap main, and the other one was a Naglfar character. So every time we did a move
I'm trying
up,
to think of the name.
he would like it was Dagothar.
Dagothar, yeah,
Remember? Yeah.
yeah, I do.
So every move up we did, he would jump, then go FC can I relog and catch up still. It was very painful to deal with him.
Yeah, that guy.
how did he even play the game like that?
Some people just they want the ship, they get it, and that's it. That's they just have the ship just.
Some people also aren't
so they've
interested
got
in
it.
paying for like 5 monthly subscriptions, and aren't interested in like playing the amount of hours it requires to plex those subscriptions. So
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I have one main account and I have like one side account that I do other stuff on.
I got
Well, I had no
nine.
idea you were that much of a scrub, Redline.
Yeah,
I'm
how
sorry,
you wanna,
what?
How you gonna get this vendetta if you haven't got the characters to support yourself with it?
I'm gonna fly it on Redline, dude.
Painful.
Exactly. See.
Well, that's the other problem we're discussing.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
no,
was
I'm the guy. I'm the
fun.
problem.
I think it's just justice. You know, if you have a bunch of super carrier characters, sorry, super capital characters, now you can't use them, and you feel the game's stagnating. Maybe change your fucking playstyle.
Well, not just that though, right? Like, so if you have like a couple of supers or something on your one super account or your main account or whatever the fuck you're doing because you make lots of money, and then that shit gets asset safety. Like, that's actually a lot of fucking ISK to get back to be sitting in a fucking station someplace in Lozak.
Well, if you have
I only have one character that's like that. He has like a Moloch and an avatar. So I'm like training up another avatar character currently for that.
Yeah, I mean that would suck, though, right? Like,
If we're talking about if we're still talking about goons in this particular case, these people that do have multiple titans and stuff, right, have enough money that asset safety is not a concern for them.
possibly.
Even that, it's taking a blank character or taking a character you already got and skill injecting it so you can sit in a Titan is also not going to be an issue either.
That's pretty
That's a lot of
expensive.
insta, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
so
40. Well, maybe just to sit in it. Maybe not.
Just sit in it
it
and
doesn't
jump
do anything, but
is-
all I have to do
isn't
is
that
sit in
much.
it.
But
Getting
no,
up
that's
and
not what
everything.
they have to do. They have to log in, sit in it, and log in and switch POS every morning and never miss a day.
And getting out of getting
you go.
your asset safety to super capital isn't exactly easy. There are a lot of risks that people are very
You know
skilled
so
at catching
fucking
you.
much about it, don't you, Rich? God
But
damn it,
if
Sean.
we're,
What do you-
if we're going back, if we're still talking again, obviously about goons, then if
We're
we're
talking about
talking
everybody.
well,
We're always talking about goons with this.
in this particular case, I know that you could inject something, right? You could train up another character, but if we're talking about the people that haven't already trained up a sitter pilot or like an actual,
They're not going to.
yeah, they're not going to at that point. No matter how much money they've got, they're just going to move to greener pastures. And I think that is maybe the biggest weakness for the Imperium in this war is the tendency of the majority of the membership just to drift to the greener pastures. Well, I think we'll see maybe how that plays out in the coming
Yeah,
weeks.
no, I'm sure it will happen that there will be a percentage of people that leave,
Oh,
and when
no.
things are you know, different, they'll come back. It happened the last time we had like this
Yeah,
big war,
I remember.
and I remember every fucking person that left. Like,
Yeah,
I
I was
fucking
gonna
know.
say, I remember people leaving, and then I remember hearing about them coming back with what open
Pacify
arms.
via Sino joined fucking FCON for like 40 days to wrap.
Oh, that's because he was
Hey,
a spy.
Bill, I have a real quick question for you. You specifically, are you receptive to questions currently?
If you're receptive to the answers that will come from me.
Okay, I am. So
good line.
I've heard through the grapevines kind of thing that you are looking for shelved Rorqual alts. What's your plan with those? What are you gonna do with those Rorqual alts?
That's completely inaccurate.
You don't have to answer these questions, Bill. Yeah, the Walkwall project isn't public.
You guys have to go back to talking about supers and Delve because Omeka Gold just joined the chat.
Hold on a second.
We woke him. We woke him. He felt a
for
disturbance
Omega.
in the force.
Oh, Redline, I'm not looking for any. I have enough fucking alts as it is. I don't need any.
No, Bill, as your lawyer, I'll advise you not to answer this question.
Bill, answer the question. Why are you
Plead the
looking
fifth,
for
Bill.
Rorqual alts?
He wants to go mining. Why the fuck
Passive
do you
income.
think?
I'd like to plead the fifth, please.
Did someone say
Did someone say
you go.
Rorquals and death?
No. Mecca, I got a lot of fucking words to exchange with you.
Rich, don't.
This should
I just want to quickly interject, saying we had a nice fight just now in Fountain.
Yeah, I was talking about it
Goons
earlier.
in
Alpha
it.
looks like you wiped the floor with some more of those shitty fucking speed serps.
Yeah, we well, it was a two-part fight. Part one went really well, and we killed the Sinojammer, which Goons happily offlined right as we were coming to reinforce it. And then Seto decided to jump in from Delve and feed like a noob, and then I had to come in and feed so he could leave. And then the best part was something happened with the servers, and like 30 people from my fleet DC'd, and a bunch of people from the Goon and Nid fleets all DC'd at the same time in the middle of the fight, which was quite unpleasant.
That doesn't sound fun.
But Pittsburgh hockey team still lost, though, right?
Yes, they did.
To a bunch of high school Canadians.
Basically, dude.
This
They're
is
all
an
high
EVE
school
Online
Canadians.
talk show, not a hockey talk show.
Oh my god, hockey's back, boys! Hockey's back!
I think we're going to be pretty even on the ISK war because of the part 2 feed, but our carriers killed a bunch of Serbs, so it was a pretty good trade.
Holy shit, was Asp just like neutral on something? Did he just go Sweden for the first time?
What do you mean for the first time?
Switzerland, Bill.
Let's say
Sweden.
What the fuck?
Totally fucked the meme up.
He's American.
Dude, I didn't even understand what he meant. I was so confused. Like, the fuck do you mean by Sweden?
It's propaganda. Don't worry.
Not against Swedes,
propaganda.
Or Luxembourg, just too small to really give a shit, so they just kind of like don't do anything.
Oh, don't be mean to the Swedes, bro.
How hot is it where you are?
It's horrible. I don't deal with heat very well with TSO, and I've been very grumpy the last few days.
I have a river running down my neck just
stop,
to give
stop.
you that mental
Just
image.
stop.
Yeah, when you
Stop pissing yourself.
when you stand up there and like you have to like peel your testicles off your thigh.
I don't want to hear shit. I'm from Alabama. Okay.
Jesus.
I had
Okay.
to-
All right. Stop
I
this
wasn't
now.
sure if I pissed
Please.
myself or
Vivid
not.
imagery.
Oh, Mecca, how has
Please
your
end
break
this
from
story.
Eve been for you?
Oh, well, I retired to, I discovered this game. Not discovered, but purchased the alpha Dual Universe. So I retired to that game pretty much right now. And I have started big projects today, apparently. So
you're dead to me.
Real life is too busy. So I left Eve, but then I found myself playing another game as much as Eve. So that's fucked up.
Are you writing like 10-page dissertations to the devs on that one?
Yeah, of course.
On the topic of dissertations, you were going through schooling,
man.
right? How has that been?
Oh, it's fun, man. I'm writing my dissertation. It's going to finish in 1 year. I'm going to graduate, hopefully find a job in Turkey, and move back.
Very well. Now, I do have some concerns I'd like to raise with you. Do you know Volta, the group that you formerly worked with while you played Eve?
Yeah, I know.
They're fucking deader than a doornail. There's no content for them. The changes to resists and things that you forwarded, it's changed the playstyle that you once pioneered, the whaling playstyle. It's dead and doornail.
We had this show already, dude.
You know, I love it when Rich makes fun of Omeka in the same way we did 6 months ago.
We already had this show. What the fuck?
Every bad change is my fault, of course.
No.
It's Brisk's fault.
Every good change in the game from the CSM was me.
No.
All the bad stuff was
I
Villain.
didn't know Fountain Frank was on the CSM.
But yet, Brisk, you still
He
haven't
talking
fixed the
about
red dot.
Oh no. The Visage has.
Trust me,
Visage
I'm
has
working on
faded.
the red dot. I'll get it done eventually.
We're working on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, Brisk was telling people how much he liked the red dot. So.
Oh,
It's against the rules to run under multiple personalities.
First of all, it's visage, not visage. Visage is French, my friend.
People used to complain when there was multiple Imperium members on the CSM. 3 years from now, it's going to be 6.
It's gonna be 6 different versions of this character.
We're gonna be the new goons.
Anyway, so about Volta, I don't follow why. Probably you mentioned like resistance stuff.
Okay, Omeka. So another one of the groups that you worked with.
The resistance stuff is not something I was greatly invested in. I supported it, but it's not like I pushed for it or anything. If you're looking for something that I'm greatly invested in, look at the ESS changes upcoming. So those are the kind of things. For example, I believe a group like Volta would have benefited from.
Oh, that I'm sure. I'm waiting for the ESS changes as well. However, not only did Volta have they got issues right now due to the lack of whaling, the lack of targets out there due to the changes to their EHP and resists, but also you've heard Inner Hell collapsed, partially due to leadership issues, but also, as Max Drummalev said, it's also because there's a lack of fucking targets out there. There's no supers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look. There are certain there are other CSM members here that we share the same tenure with. My approach to this entire super cap thing was not fully just make them unviable economically. It was more like make them riskier, but they made them unviable. So it's anomaly changes and fighter changes made them very unviable. So both for Rorquals and supers. So those are not the kind of things I pushed for. I pushed for less security, not less viability, less economic viability.
Were you responsible for the super carriers, super capitals being nerfed with their application against sub capitals? I believe you played
Rich.
No red line, let him go. Version of this show. No. Is this just come in?
Right before the application nerf, I worked maybe 2 or 3 weeks for an interim solution, so supers can still be used in anomalies. So maybe some sort of PvE solution. Not, I still strongly defend that supers shouldn't be viable against subcapitals that as viable as they were, but I didn't like I wanted to make sure that they retain some kind of capability in anomalies, and CCP just didn't. So
Rich,
again,
I think
like everything is more nuanced than you think.
Very
Rich, I think you missed some important points there when you were talking about Volta and Inner Hell. So there are a lot of supers ratting in the game right now. Not so much in Delve, which is where like the majority of people like to hunt because that's where it was banned. But the rest of the game has a lot of supers ratting. The real reason that they failed was a leadership thing, which you mentioned. And when it comes to Volta, they tried to do something else. They tried to move to a place where they could actually have fights, but
they get shit on by like ex-goons.
well, they got shit on by pretty much everyone, right? Then they also had some seriously. I mean, I was sat in a TeamSpeak with a different name where he didn't know that I was listening, and he was shit talking Snuff for blobbing them. He was shit talking everyone. He was shit talking every corp in his alliance except for his corp, saying that they're trash. They're the ones that don't want to take fights. He hates the fact that that's the reason they've got their reputation. The real reason they suffered was leadership, right? They had a leader who, unironically, was in a hostile TeamSpeak talking about how much he hated his own alliance. If you ever get to that point, you're probably done, right?
I'm aware of the leadership issues involved and the rotting on the inside. I also did get the chance to speak to Starfleet Commander, and he did say, yeah, no, he had to move Volta out of Thera because there was just no content out of Thera.
I want to point out a little caveat to what Vert said about supers ratting in other places. The reason why supers rat in other places aren't necessarily because they're hunted, but because there's no NPC station nearby to stage something of actual threat.
No, that's 100%.
Oh, so we're just covering every topic tonight, huh?
NPC stations in every nullsec region, like covering every nullsec region, is something I strongly defended, and in my presentation as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely vote for that, and I agree to a degree. I don't think it needs to be in every nullsec region, but at least within jump like at least like double like one mid range. Every NPC region or every null region should have NPC space within.
You should be able to go from an NPC station to any nullsec system with one mid. That might sound. I guess that is a little bit extreme.
Like 14, 15 AU, like kind of range.
Like
unless you're in drones. Unless
I
you're
once
in drones.
took
No NPC space in drones.
I even offered them designs, like they don't need to change the entire thing. I just said, you know what you can do? Look at these Triglavian arc ships. What if they like emerge nullsec systems, certain systems, and like they are dockable now? Like things like that, for example. So you don't need to like spend a lot of effort to create a new NPC faction or something like that, you know?
I once took 4 mids and Declan to go kill a group of Mackinac bots, and some wormholers beat me to
And then you dropped on a you dropped a Nix on a rattlesnake and he whooped off.
To be fair, I don't think there's a ton of regions that really aren't following that rule. Like aside from like deep south, like Detroit, Omist, it's only literally the drone regions and like a couple deep south regions that don't actually follow that kind of like 15, 16 AU rule.
The drone regions are hard to get into because there's 3 entrances, effectively.
Correct. Plus, you can't have.
It's getting there in the first
NPC
place.
You can't
Once you're
have
in
NPC
there,
space
it's
in
amazing for
drones.
range.
Because if you have NPC space and drones, who's going to manage it? The rogue drones? No, come on. Where's the lore?
That's like
Give
saying
it to
that it's
the
hard to
trigs.
get into
Why,
Delve.
why is this that hard? Just give everything to the trigs.
Just
make it all
scared
trigs.
that you'll have to deal with big deal the boss camping stations with diamond rogue drone rats.
Dude, you know what I'm scared of? I'm scared of 11
Carnage?
o'clock. I'm scared of the end of this show.
Why are you trying to silence the people, Redline?
I'm not. I'm just saying I'm scared of the end of the show because I don't want to end the show.
Do you not support freedom of speech, bro?
Well, it's only
Before you
10
end,
o'clock yet. It's not even 10 o'clock yet.
I want to run an idea by you. So like there are a lot of people here who are community builders. So imagine like a community like Gunzo test, but you could choose your president with elections. I want to try it in dual universe. What do you guys think?
It would be rigged
That will
immediately.
fail spectacularly.
Somebody who did that?
Because you
Somebody
need
did
leaders
that.
to be assholes, and
I think-
people that would vote in these things aren't.
There'd be a
See,
lot of
you do end
collusion.
up with
Lots of
F-com.
collusion.
Omeka, have you heard of a game called Ashes of Creation?
Yeah, didn't play though.
You should. I mean, it's not fully out yet, but you should look into that. That is a very the risk reward. I just think it's probably going to be the game I quit Eve for, and it's got what you're talking about and all the other kind of things that we've dreamed about having in Eve for a long time, but CCP have never put in. It's fantasy themed over sci-fi, which is a bit of a bummer. But
Yeah, I feel like Dual Universe is very, very similar. It has like a lot of potential. Right now, beta is very early. Sorry, alpha is very early. Beta will be released soon. But it's like I think it's the only other game I saw which has the potential to be a actual sandbox rather than Star Citizen or Elite kind of games where they instance you in the PvP and that kind of stuff.
Dude, you should
Hey,
totally invest in Star Citizen. Though it's eventually going to be amazing.
Okay.
aren't
That was
the solar systems, like the locations on the New Eden, aren't they like just one or two attribute? I'm probably way underthinking this, but I just thought like their placement on the actual map, like it's just an XYZ coordinate.
Wait, what? In Dual Universe, you mean?
All right,
No, neat.
there's a Twitch poll. If you want to continue the stream past the end time, you can vote in it.
Gentlemen, we have the king of all content, Olmeca Gold here. He's back after an extended break, and
I would just like to say,
He's
gentlemen,
literally
for the
just
record,
said that he's
I would just
playing
like
a
to say
different
for the
game.
record that the reason why Olmeca and Jay are on the show tonight is because Fountain Frank is hosting. So you should all be thanking me that I hosted the best show you guys have ever had.
Frank,
I'd just like to thank you for your existence. Like, you have made every single Saturday that you've been on the Meta Show just so much better.
You're welcome. I'm here
sometimes
for you.
Sometimes glass tastes a little bit like blood.
It's like the Meta Show is smoking menthols, and then TTT is like smoking meth.
I will say the Meta Show is better without having to hear Bode's whiny voice sometimes.
We love
But
it.
sometimes I miss it. And sometimes I miss it. So.
Talking in stations and smoking Virginia Slims.
Dude, I listen, we cannot say those three words in the same, like, in that order.
Smoking Virginia Slims?
No. The other ones that he said before that.
Like smoking meth?
No.
Virginia Slims smoke you.
No. You know the
Talking in
words.
citadels.
Stop.
Thank you, and I hope you get Fountain back eventually. Maybe ask the Bulgarians.
That ain't happening.
Nobody wants Fountain back. We never lived there. Why would we want it back?
God
Wait a minute. What about your renters? Vili, how has your efforts been in recruiting and obtaining some of the former Fountain residents, or is that handled on Horde's end?
Yeah.
What?
It comes to the level of when your brain just can't absorb any more rich, and it's just, I think Vili's there.
Well, I'm very upset that you have completely and utterly failed to abide by the rules tonight. This is inappropriate behavior.
Vili's brain is saturated with bullshit.
Big Richard, the boss, speaking in his British accent, he seems to have dropped that, I'm afraid.
Where
That was never a rule.
Richard? Like, why are you calling me your name?
That was never a rule. The rule was you had to speak in an American accent.
It's Big Bill the
That
Boss
way-
or Small William the Overseer. Please get his names right.
Small William the Overseer.
Subordinate.
Thought I was catching Kool-Aid.
Jesus Christ, this is real BS hours.
Dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This show is nothing but bullshit. That's why it's good TV.
Do you mean bullshit hour?
What about Average Dick, the manager?
Can we next week? Can we just call the show "Disappointment in Rich"?
Alright, Frank, I gotta ask.
Being at a bar at 12 p.m. Yeah.
Who owns the KVN Keepstar?
Owns the KVN Keepstar?
Pretty sure that's a Horde Keepstar.
Okay.
That was Snuffed Out Keepstar being
The
held.
CTEC N Keepstar is a little bit sad,
Listen.
I think. I think some of us paid, I think Bill paid for some of it.
Here's the thing. You got to understand. Fountain is like a very bad part of town, and no one wants to live there. So in order to get people to live there, you have to paint your stuff to look like somebody else's stuff, so that way you live there. Plus, you always have to, like, if I were in Horde, I would want to hide all my structures as init structures anyway to keep all the Horde AWACSers from killing them. So
remember
they have
the-
a lot of Horde Keepstars that are hiding behind an init logo or a Goons logo, so that they don't get blown up.
Jay, Ron is asking you a question in chat. Jay.
Yeah, I
So,
replied to him, dude.
so here's my question: If these are Horde Keepstars, when did they anchor them?
That's opposite.
I don't know. I mean, look, they're Horde systems, right? Look at the sub. How would Goons have put up Keepstar in those systems if Horde owns them?
Exactly.
Oh, Jay,
Goons had them up beforehand.
If we lose a Keepstar, can we file for SRP? I'm asking for a friend.
You totally should.
I don't know if the Keepstar app. Actually, let me see if you can do that actually on the SRP app.
I
add a
don't think
payout
that
just for you.
Keepstars are on the SRP app.
I can leave them on there.
That would be amazing.
I'll have to check.
Well,
the
the FP tells me
I'll
to gun
have to
it.
check the Gabloons payout for the Keepstar SRP. Get back
Gabloons
to you.
definitely
Wait, don't y'all just transform the NC before you lose them?
One at a time, gentlemen. One at a time.
There is
That's
a
what she said.
Gobloons playout. I have a character that is in need of some Gobloons. I'll put it that way.
What would
Just
the
one?
Matani's version of the Gobloons be called? The Mabloons?
The Matani bugs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Matani is not.
Wasn't there already like a version of
So-
Matani Bucks, like when they
Psycho
did like
Pastos,
the,
dude.
No,
the Night Players Club or whatever it was called?
He's not such a egotist that he needs to name
Oh.
currency after himself.
That's
Matani's-
news.
Matani's definitely a not.
Wait, you could call them pickle pennies.
Pickle pennies. I love that.
Billings.
That's good. Pickle pence.
Pickle coin.
Has
I
anybody
just
contacted you
killed
about
that.
getting involved in this war?
I think
both-
Init should have its own currency and call it Fountain Francs.
Yeah, I mean,
How about that?
So
I
here's
got
the
offers to camp and stuff. My services. I know they could be beneficial, but I just didn't want to play.
Yeah, I know Omeka, because I can tell you, as soon as this all started, I was like, fucking Omeka Gold's gonna be my ace in the hole. I'm gonna have him camp in Delve. He's gonna be feeding me fucking supers in Delve. It's finally gonna come all together. And then you're like, I quit. And I'm like, motherfucker! I was so fucking mad, man. I was like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna use this fucking Omeka card. And then it's like walking away.
Dude, you don't know though. If you like, if I knew you would turn on goons, then I would probably have stayed.
I would have abstained. You
It's
would have
funny,
abstained
Omeka,
for a few
if
months.
you look back through your chat log, there's actually a chat log where I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about some CSM stuff, non-CSM stuff? And then I don't say anything. That was like literally me being like, can I tell Omeka or not?
So we were actually talking like pro-god game balance, and then I said, if you want content and conflict, why don't you turn on goons? And he said, oh, that's gonna eventually happen, but I didn't take it seriously. So
Omeka, you can
What's the
join my corp
timestamp on
today.
that?
People have that
Get back in
reaction.
there.
Bill.
Get back in there.
Bill, no.
What's the
always come
timestamp
back.
on that?
You can always
Bill,
come back
stop.
and inject the digital heroin that is known as EVE Online, and you can still come back.
I don't think EVE Online's heroin. Maybe like a little bit of like a pot bounty or something like that. But
Dude, I sold my car so I could Plex for a month, okay?
Before we're at the end of the show, I was just wondering, Rich, how's it going with your VNI botting farm, and have you managed to like work out those kinks you were struggling with?
Yes. We actually developed some new flagon technology for our enterprises, and we've had notable success. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to discuss these successes.
yeah, but you're discussing them right now. God.
Right.
Anyways, I have a question for you. Why would Brisk? Why would you name the currency Fountain Francs if you've never lived in Fountain?
To troll
Rhymes?
you.
What?
Because it rhymes. It rhymes.
It
and it's
doesn't
funny.
rhyme at all.
course,
That's like
Fountain
rhyming
Franks, get it?
orange and fucking porridge.
No, but you spell it Franks, Francs, and then
Come on, are you
that's
telling me
funny.
that Delve dollars is not better?
Nah,
I want boat bucks. I feel like boat bucks would be pieces of paper with numbers written on them in crayon.
The
And I want
Every
Jesus
time you
Christ,
use
there
it,
is
it has a
look,
different meaning.
Vertizo, there is absolutely no way that we could have pieces of paper with crayon on them because Ron would eat them.
What about the
And all your
Batani?
money would be gone.
You
the
leave
Batani
Ron alone.
Socio pesos. What about that?
I want my big. I want my big Villy vouchers. Thank you.
What about markers?
That was strangely sexual.
Yeah, Villy vouchers.
I was pretty sure.
I want my big.
We can't do that because we don't have any crayons because he ate them all.
You could have Vinny vouchers, right, for NC.
Had you said that with like an American accent, Rich, that would have sounded fucking dirty.
True story. I actually
why do you guys think I asked him to do that?
True story. I actually had to deal with somebody who ordered a pack of crayons, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And they're like, "It was a joke." It's like not a funny joke.
Now, Villy, I'd like
They're
you
good.
to issue me some big Villy vouchers for
That's-
SRP and a small percentage of the perimeter peak.
That sounds like you're asking for something else in code words.
Yeah.
Now say you ate his liver with fava
Who's-
beans. And
Who's hosting this show? Can someone put a stop to this, please?
Well, I can tell you who's
All right.
not hosting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for joining
No,
us tonight
I don't
on
mean
Trash
that
Talk
way.
Tuesday.
I
This
don't
has
mean
been
that
an
way,
excellent episode.
Fountain Frank.
I think we have
Stop
had
it.
some very
No.
good conversations. I
No,
think we've had a
we're
lot of fun
not done
guests. We got to see Jay Amazingness for his first time live and
broke
in
my
person.
V card, dude.
We saw the amazing return of
stop
Omega
it.
Gold.
They
We've
voted
had
for
lots of
overtime.
conversations with a lot of cool people.
They voted for overtime.
Thank you all
We
for joining us tonight
is
on
tyranny.
Trash Talk Tuesday.
Vote for Fountain
We'll see you
Frank.
next time.
What's happening?
I'm Fountain Frank.
Wait,
Vote
no,
for Fountain
no,
Frank.
no.
And the show ends.
Oh, they ended your show.
No.
Feel about that.
Now,
Everybody-
right there, partner. We're looking
Okay,
at
well,
93%
Have a lovely night.